Liked by the sound of violence.
The whole fucking time, there's been fucking assholes on my street walking around, no masks, not quarantining like the people that come by the houses. You see the fucking, the same people that were going in and out of the house who are not part of their family still going in and out of the house.
You want people to walk down the street with a mask on?
Let's not start this, Joe.
Do you, though?
Let's not start this. Okay.
Let's start it.
I don't want to start this bullshit. I'm not going to sit here with no medical degree, listening to you with no medical degree, with an American flag behind you, smoking a cigar, acting like we know what's up better than the CDC.
What up, everybody, and welcome back to yet another Sound of Violence podcast. I am Pulver, and I'm here with my co-host Chris, and before we start anything off, we're going to open this episode by raising a glass to Seamus, our third chair, who is fortunately no longer with us, so cheers.
Salute.
Alright, I'm not going to dwell on this too much. Part of that's just the shot. That is strong fucking rum. Not going to dwell on this too much, but like I said, unfortunately we lost the third chair of our show. Seamus has been on for almost as many episodes as Chris and I, and we just wanted to raise a glass to him and kind of give a moment to thank him for all the time he spent with us. So, on that note, before I start blubbering like a goddamn baby like I have been all week, Chris, what are you drinking this week, and also what did you just take a shot of?
So I just took a shot of El Silencio Mezcal. I am much more of a Mezcal guy than tequila, or tequila, right, as I call it. However, the beer I got at Jimbo's, I was thinking, I want to find a ridiculous-looking beer possible. There was one that upped it. It was all sparkly diamond wrapping.
Nice.
But it's from the same brewery. It's Cooperage. They're from Santa Rosa.
Yeah, I've heard of them. They're just started getting distro down here, I think.
So this is why I bought this beer.
Oh, you got the big Kurt Rescue beer. I've been seeing that around.
Yeah, what's it say? A pale ale, motherfucker.
So good. How is it?
This is actually very good. I'm very happy.
That's awesome.
Because usually with shit like this, it's either good or it's bad. And it's good. It's a pale ale brewed with 100% Citra hops. 5.8 ABV. Real good. Kind of has a spicy note at the end, too. It's pretty interesting.
Nice.
The only thing is I hope they don't get a cease and desist letter from Matt Groening of The Simpsons.
It's real close, right?
Yeah. Even the cat or the tiger.
Yeah, it's definitely got a feel to it. Also, shouts out to Carol Baskins, who now owns that fucking place.
That fucking bitch. Don't get me wrong, Joe Exotic is an actual piece of shit, so I really don't care that the guy's in prison.
Oh, yeah.
But
all of them are trash people.
Everyone on the show
they all belong in the ground, probably. Oh, all right. Well, on that note, I am drinking. I figured I would take a shot of something special in honor of Seamus. So I'm drinking the St. Lucia Distillers Chairman's Reserve, which is it's the Master's Selection rum by False Idol. Or in concert with False Idol that they did. It's one of their special selections. I believe, if I remember right, that there's actually a rum aged on bourbon barrels. If I remember right, I'm not totally positive. Let's see, 13-year age count from 06. Yeah, it's an ex-bourbon cask that they used. It's really good. It's definitely got like a classic rum character, but then also kind of has like a smoky back end to it, and a little bit of the whiskey barrel comes through. It's interesting. I like it quite a bit. And then I also am drinking, since I needed something to cheer me up, and I have been making a lot of these in the last couple days. I'm drinking a Mai Tai, which is normally not like my go-to, but it's fucking delicious. I'm using the How to Drink recipe, which we'll have linked in the description, since I will bring him up later, because I love that dude. But yeah, just really easy Mai Tai recipe. Basically, curacao, simple syrup. What else is in that thing? The almond syrup. I forget the name of that shit right now. I always say it wrong anyway. And then some couple different rums. I got a Demerara 151 that I use from Hamilton, and then I also am using a what is the other? Oh, I used the Appleton Signature, which is a real good combo. So that and then some lime, and yeah, it's fucking delicious.
Nice. Oh yeah, man. Yeah, that
Absolutely.
sounds. I haven't had a Mai Tai in a while, but I did have a Mai Tai Goza from Modern Times.
Oh, interesting.
That was absolutely delicious.
Yeah, they made a couple tiki drinks recently, right? Or tiki beers.
Yeah. It's based on their Fruitland sour.
Makes sense.
Real good.
Awesome, man. Oh, well, on that note, we will get into podcast this week. Shit. We'll get into the intro on my skip. Because Jesus Christ. Let's see.
Deal.
What else do I want to cover at the top? Oh, you know what? One other thing I do want to cover with Seamus' passing. Here, I'll put it up on screen, since I think.
But specifically as sports journalist, it's tough because there's pretty much still no sports. And I was expect there was about to be a baseball is back announcement, but now it's at an impasse again, so that's probably not going to happen. So yeah.
Oh man, you know what? I just realized. Thank you, Richard, in chat for pointing it out. When I flip over to the RIP or to the Humane Society tab, I just realized that I didn't have any mics set up on that page, so you guys did not hear us talking about it. But yeah, the SD Humane Society, which I will add on this page so you can hear it. If you guys, we would love if you would go and support any Humane Society, but specifically the SC Humane Society, which Seamus, it's where we got Seamus at, over on Gain Street in San Diego. If you like we just said, if you guys listen to the podcast version, you'll hear this. But I'd love to see people go out and try and support organizations like this who are. I mean, it's where I found that dude and I never would have met him otherwise. So if you can give by donating or just donating time or fostering anything of the any of the above would be greatly appreciated because they could use it. Anyway, sorry, I'm not going to dwell on that. That's going to be the end of that for now anyway. And just wanted to recap it since I appreciate Richard in the chat shouting it out that since I have a makeshift setup for this today that I fucked up the audio on it. So anyway, you were saying? I think we were talking Man of the Myth, right? And the Athletic.
Yeah, I just
journalists in general having trouble.
Yeah, baseball is supposed to be announced that it was back. Now they're at impasse, and I saw. I think it was Dan Herron. He's a former Major League Baseball pitcher. He was great with the Athletics. What a coincidental pun, right? The Athletics.
Yeah.
He had this tweet out. He's because Rob Manfred, the commissioner of baseball, is absolute trash. I think he's the worst commissioner of the four major sports, barely worse than Gary Bettman of the NHL. Anyways, he basically tweeted out saying the way that the commissioner Rob Manfred is treating the Players Association of Major League Baseball is as far as prorated pay, for the amount of games that they're going to play. He's basically saying, okay, here's $20.
Yeah.
And the Players Association's like, no, we don't want a $20 bill. He's like, okay. How about 2 10s? Fuck off.
Yeah.
4 5s? No. 21s? So that's just how the talks have been going.
Well, it's because they have fucking leverage, and they can actually be like, hey, no, we're obviously not going to just work because you want to make money, bro. So, shouts out to your organization, huh?
No baseball has been why I've been absolutely addicted to MLB The Show. I mean, it's a good game. I know some people like to shit on it for some of the things, but they put out tons of free content. They do these Player of the Month programs, so big shout out to that game. Big shout outs to Sony San Diego and Sony in general.
Yeah, I actually knew a couple people who've worked for Sony San Diego over the years.
Nice.
Back when it was called like 14 other things. Back when they were running like fucking Star Wars MMO fucking servers and shit like that.
Oh, like Star Wars Galaxies?
Yeah.
Shit?
I used to know some people who worked on Star Wars Galaxies, and I think PlanetSide was out of there at some point, maybe.
Dude, that game, I never played any MMO really ever, but I did play Star Wars Galaxies, and it was pretty tight. Even though like the player base was very limited, but...
See, I was more like a City of Heroes kind of fucking...
See, that was one, since I'm a big comic book guy, I was thinking, I just don't think I was able to run it on my computer, because I had a piece of shit computer, but...
Probably. And also, it was just like every other fucking MMO at the time. All of those things were the same. It was just like, this one you're in a car versus this one you're shooting or punching.
Shouts out to DC Universe Online.
Yeah, exactly.
It was like free for PlayStation for the longest time.
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much every single one of those games is just like, oh, the bars go burr. Fucking 100% the whole time. We're like, all right, I guess that's how that works. Anyway, way off topic, but cool. So yeah, unfortunately, that's the end of the Man and the Myth. I do hope we see something from them going forward. I don't know what it'll look like. I don't know. I just don't know. And I'm extremely glad, which the co-main event pointed out this week, that they chose not to sign with The Athletic, that podcast.
That's right.
But especially since Chad Dundas is no longer at The Athletic.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, they cut Chad Dundas, Dan Stupp, Chuck Mendenhall, and I forget who else. One or two other people. But yeah, real bummer, and it's sad to see, but media layoffs are inevitable. I mean, hell, John Morgan's fucking furloughed every other week, and that dude is the face of a giant media outlet that is not doing well this week. I don't know if you've seen some of their shit they put out.
No.
Oh, yeah. Wait, no, Josh Gross is still with them, right, Richard? I thought he was still there. Unless he got let go as well. I thought Josh was still on, but you might be right. I know his podcast isn't on it. It looks like his page is still up on The Athletic. Nope. Looks like it's no longer in his bio. So I think you are right. That is a bummer. Fucking Josh Gross is the best journalist in the sport and has been since the sport's been around, as far as I can tell. That's fucked up. And then the only other thing I have for news-wise right now is the Joe Rogan Experience, which you guys heard in the intro, and I will talk about more in detail here in a minute.
I'm gonna have to give that one a listen.
Dude, it's real good because it's Bill Burr, but like there is all kinds of stupid shit that gets said from both of them on this episode. But one thing that was very fucking interesting is, first off, Bill Burr explains essentially why Rogan's deal is the start of agents and companies fucking over creators, but without actually saying it about Rogan. He's like, what all these companies are trying to do is to sign exclusivity deals so that they can have ownership and control over what they are able to put out and to drive content their direction, which really doesn't help the creators. It just fucks over the creators in the long run, because you're not only narrowing your audience, you're then subject, theoretically, to kind of oversight. Which Rogan even said they're already nagging him about who's going to be the first guest when he moves over to Spotify, which is like, that's a bad sign. It's a bad fucking sign. Rogan also in this episode, and I'm not sure if I just misheard this. It's like said offhand, and Bill doesn't catch it. I don't think it sounded like Rogan said his exclusivity deal might only be for 3 months. I'm not positive on that, and it was said so offhandedly that he could have misspoken, or I could be misinterpreting what he meant by it. But it sounded like he's like, oh yeah, well, for 3 months. He mentioned 3 months about being on Spotify, and I thought that was interesting. So that's maybe something to keep an eye on. And then the other thing Rogan said on that episode this is like the actual podcast relevant shit. The other stuff we'll get into later, but Rogan did hint on that episode that around 5 years ago, which would have been 2015 or so.
Yeah.
Which is a little later than I would have expected, but he said he heard from a quote-unquote radio company that was looking to move into podcasting, and they said, you can join our network if you give us a 50% revenue split. Now, I have 0% confirmation, and this is 100% rumor and speculation on my part, but that sure fucking sounds like Podcast One and Podcast One's business model.
I can see that.
And if that's the deal they're pitching dudes like Rogan, is 50% revenue split just to gain listeners by being on their network, which, by the way, they absolutely ruined shows. Shouts out to Chael Sonnen's show. Shouts out to Adam Carolla's show. Actually, Adam Carolla's is a little different because he has a little bit more control about the way he uses ads. Zane Lamprey's show was turned awful when he moved to Podcast One. I mean, you can listen to dudes like Stone Cold's show, which is fucking littered with ads in the middle of sentences and terrible shit like that. And so if they're taking 50% of all revenue, but I would assume it's ad-based revenue, but any 50% split on any part of the money just to be on their network is fucking trash. Like, that is the most trash deal. And I would like to see which company that was, but I don't know of any other radio companies who own big giant podcast platforms other than Westwood One, aka Podcast One.
Yeah.
So, just something to think about. And if you guys want to learn as a creator or as a podcast host or people who work in podcast industry or even just a fan of podcasts, you want to see how the sausage is made, they say a lot of like specific numbers and specific offers they've received over the years in this episode, and it's horrifying that that's how they think that stuff is going. So, man, very, very concerning, and something definitely to keep an eye on, because like Bill talked about in this episode, shit's going to change with podcasting in the next couple of years, especially with a lot of these creators. Like, Apple has been trying to do this for fucking ever. Beats did this for a while with whatever their terrible fucking... Dre had some terrible streaming thing, right?
Oh.
Or was it Jay-Z? One of those dudes?
I think it was Jay. Actually, I don't know. I won't comment because I don't know.
I'm speculating off the top of my head. Anyway, there's been a bunch of like weird exclusivity deals, which basically turns your show into a radio show, not a podcast at that point, as far as I'm concerned. So, I don't know. Something to keep an eye on. Let's see. So, why don't we get into our format before I lose my goddamn mind and start spiraling, because it's been a crazy fucking... Oh, I should also mention, I apologize for us being off last week. I had about 50 squad cars and about 100 cops in riot gear across the street from me last Friday. Actually, last Thursday and last Friday.
Yeah, I didn't ask you how. So I imagine a community such as Santee, some parts specifically.
That's right. I live in the racist ass county or city of Santee down here in San Diego County, and it
and
is
one
fucking
of
horrifying.
the actual hubs of the Ku Klux Klan in Southern California.
Oh yeah, I've never seen more fucking Confederate flags in my goddamn life than here in Santee.
Oh, and shouts out to Bubba Wallace, professional race car driver and NASCAR driver, and NASCAR for having the balls to get banned Confederate flags. That is a big step forward and should have been done a long time ago.
I mean, it should have been done in the fucking 1800s after the Civil War.
Yeah.
What the fuck are we doing? It's like, no, you can't wear your stupid racist shit around anymore, bro. You lost.
But my heritage,
You can definitely move. You can definitely leave.
hate.
Yeah, you can definitely leave the country, as far as I'm concerned, or bury yourself. Either those are your two
just
options.
go live in your swamp. And
Yeah,
fuck off.
no, and hopefully drown in it if we're lucky.
Or get eaten by a gator.
Absolutely. Oh no, they would be so mad if they got eaten by a gator. I ain't about no gators. fucking homo alligators coming after me.
God damn it, that sounds like someone would say.
100%.
Jesus. They're like, yeah, that gator looked at me wrong, so now he's on my boots.
That's right. I only fuck with straighters, not gators.
God damn it.
So stupid. Anyway, how do we even get to this? What was it? Oh, right. Santee's a racist shithole.
I was gonna say Trump and
Yeah. That too. To be fair. Yeah, no, so I live about 4 blocks from the sheriff's department where all of those fucking people were at. And the combination of that sheriff's department being overrun and then there being a whole fuckload of cops literally across the street from my house. Like, I look out my front door and there's 100 cops in riot gear. I was like, oh, we're getting out of town for the weekend. So Karen and I went up to San Bernardino and then we went up to Big Bear last weekend, which was a lot of fun. Yeah, I'll actually talk about it in the the honorable mentions, or not honorable mentions, but well-rounded stuff. Because yeah, we went and did some cool shit, and actually we brought Seamus and Tilly for all that, which was really cool. So we got to have a big last trip with him, which was pretty awesome. So, all right. On that note, that's why we were off last week, because it was fucking chaos over here. And then obviously the beginning of this week has been crazy. So apologies. I wish I would have given more of a heads up about all this stuff, but I got off social media.
I was about to talk politics, and I was like, wait, I'm gonna pump the brakes.
Oh, I'm sure it'll come up during this episode. I'm sure about how this fucking country deserves.
I'll give you a hint. Just click trending on Twitter.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, probably don't do that if you want to be able to sleep. Because I think I got a combined probably 40 hours of sleep. No, that's probably way overestimating it. I was probably doing like 4 or 5 hours a night, so I got like maybe 30 hours of sleep last week. It's not good. It's not the way to go about it.
Quick shout out to UFC flyweight Tyson Nam finally got his first UFC win with a very awesome knockout in the first round.
Oh, nice.
That's happening right now.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't acknowledge that card because it is doo-doo.
Yeah, I guess we should mention that since we're actually recording this during the card that's happening right now on Saturday. I mean, honestly, who gives a fuck about this card? Yeah, here we go. I was like almost gonna preview this card this week, and then everybody blew away, and I was like, "What the fuck are we even doing?"
Oh no, I honestly would have told you, dude. I'm not doing a podcast. Like honestly, yeah. I'm not.
Well, and also, why preview a card that Dana White refuses to show up to because he's too big a baby to put a piece of cloth over his face, even though they're selling the cloth to put over your fucking face to the public. But whatever.
He's like Joe Rogan. What?
Dude, he's worse than Joe Rogan. And Joe Rogan's horrible. He's a horrible, horrible person.
Yes, Joe, you're safe inside your very nice house and wherever the fuck you're in Hollywood Hill. I don't know.
Please go brag about eating at steakhouses some more, bro. That's absolutely why we like your podcast. Yeah. Jesus Christ. What a fucking mouth breather. Okay. So, on that note, Chris, why don't you start us off with the MMA podcast you recommend people... Oh, I should mention...
So I was gonna say,
I haven't brought this up...
Notes, but
I was going to mention, I haven't really brought this up at all yet on the show today, but we are a podcast that talks about MMA podcasts. Not that you know it from everything that's happened so far. So, yeah, Chris, I know you listened to some stuff, but not a ton in the last 2 weeks, right?
So, I admittedly, I did not listen to any MMA podcasts. Actually, I did listen to Submission Radio. I don't know what a lot of it's hazy. Let's see. I don't have anything written down. Let me try to backtrack, see what the fuck I listened to. I'll be honest. Ever since the whole, let's just say lots of integrity, as they would say on South Park, was lost with a lot of podcasts that we listen to, I don't listen to a lot of podcasts now.
It's been hard, man, right? Like a lot of ones that yeah.
Okay, so I had listened to Submission Radio with UFC mouth breather shill Brett Okamoto of ESPN.
Oh, wow.
Okay, that's mean.
No, I mean, you're not wrong. He's not. You can't call him a journalist.
What's up?
You can't call him a journalist. You can call him like a sideline reporter or something. No, even they have more integrity. You can call him a mouthpiece, or actually, you did. Yeah, mouthpiece was right.
He's a mouthpiece. I have nothing against him personally. I don't know the guy. He seems like a nice guy.
I loved his podcast he did before ESPN. And
I like Brett Okamoto. I really do.
But
yes, he is a journalist when he can be or when he wants to be, because he's not a bad writer.
No, and he was great prior to the UFC deal.
Yeah, and it's like Ariel too. Ariel is a shit stirrer, mouthpiece for the company, ESPN he represents, because even when he was with fucking Fox, he was getting paid directly by the UFC, which is a conflict of interest, which we just talked about multiple times. I'm not going to talk about it again. Anyways,
it'll come up actually in like a couple minutes, but it's fine.
Anyways, Brett Okamoto, I like him. I like him personally. I think he's a decent guy. I mean, I don't know him. I'd have a beer with him, though. Whatever.
I can say that about almost all MMA media. I'm sure they're great to drink with.
Yeah, I might even kind of go goo goo gaga over him like Joanna did. Just kidding. Anyways.
Joanna does that, though. Like, she fucking hits on Pizza like every other podcast.
Okay. Usman and Burns, they kind of broke down, which, dude, that fight's going to be sick. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, how fun is that shit?
Especially since they're like fucking bros and they're training partners, too, so they're probably going to go all out. Jorge Masvidal, I'm frustrated with him in the point that I want to see him fight because he's one of my favorite fighters in the UFC.
Yeah.
I don't disagree.
You're not even frustrated at him, I would argue, probably.
I'm not frustrated.
You're just frustrated that you don't get to see him fight, right?
That's what it is. And I understand that he's trying to advocate for better fighter pay.
And he should be. This is the same shit Nick and Nate Diaz have been doing for decades. And
I know.
Nate even came out and said that.
Sorry for its poor timing. I had retweeted a tweet from former NFL defensive back Dominique Foxworth.
Yeah, that dude roasted Dana.
He's absolutely brilliant. He got a fucking MBA at Harvard after he retired from the NFL.
Yeah.
Dude's one of the smartest minds in the game.
And also super knowledgeable about labor relations, right?
Yeah, he was the president of the NFL Players Association, which is probably the biggest players association in any sport. It's the NFL.
Yeah.
So he knows all about that. And what was great is I love how he's like, hey Dana, am I still invited to fight on it? He's like, yeah, man, you can come. And immediately he goes, all right, once I get there, I'm unionizing all the fighters. And Dana just turns full tomato.
Yep. And also, shouts out to Fight Peninsula or like Fight fucking Canal, I guess is probably the best way to phrase it, since it's literally just Abu Dhabi again.
I do want to go to Ferrari World, but then again, I don't want to be in like 120-degree weather.
Well, also, you probably don't want to give money to the people in Abu Dhabi if you want to be able to sleep at night.
Yeah, good point. Well, anyways, shouts out to Dominique Foxworth. That dude's a fucking baller. And I'm glad he went after Dana, because someone should. Sure, like Dana can argue, okay, yeah, Masvidal, all these guys, they just signed new contracts. It's like they could still... So, okay, the fact of the matter is, how the fuck are we going to get a fighters union besides someone trying to spearhead that? I know Leslie Smith tried, and then they cut her because of it.
And Kajan Johnson, they cut him too.
I think it would honestly take a superstar to do it. Like
even then, like, they can sit on all those dudes.
Dude, imagine if imagine if Connor, like, it would happen if he probably spearheaded that.
No, because
I don't think so.
When that dude doesn't fight, and also they don't want him to fight right now because they're not going to get any part of the gate. So like they're happy to see him sit out. So it's like what I've heard from John Nash specifically that I really think is a big factor is the antitrust lawsuit, and if fighters are able to lobby hard enough to get essentially actual independent contractor status or employee status, wherein if they're actual independent contractors, they can go and take other offers, and you can't lock them into long-term deals because that's not how independent contracting works. Or if they're actual employees, then they get actual employees' rights. And I think that's how you actually see change. And because say if every deal was a one-fight deal, it would completely change the entire sport.
Yeah.
But they lock them into these fucking 8-year fucking 10-fight deals, and they're like, oh, you want to renegotiate? Okay, we'll give you $5,000 more, bro.
The thing I'm curious about, too, is since the Reebok deal is done at the end of summer.
Something like that. It's coming up.
Who is going to take over and fuck over the fighters?
It's going to be
next?
Embarrassing is who it's going to be. It's not going to be Under Armour. It's probably going to be like...
I was hoping it was Under Armour.
It's not going to be. They didn't want to touch it the first time. That's how Reebok stepped in, from what I understand. I think it'll be something like real trash.
Like, I don't have an issue with
Jan
Nike.
Sport or something.
Jesus.
Like a fucking backpack company or something.
Now that you say that,
yeah.
You know how like the bottom of those backpacks was like that canvasy, leathery look?
Oh, for sure.
Imagine you just have it like on the bottom parts of the shorts.
Yeah. No, it's fucking...
God damn it.
Brilliant. Real good. Yeah, no, it's gonna be... It's not going to be good, and it's going to get worse. There's no way anybody else wants to sign that deal after the fucking garbage that's been happening.
Dude, it's going to be
nobody that wants that. I think K-Swiss is too strong a brand. I think it's like Skechers, bro.
Okay, Fila.
No, too strong a brand, like Skechers, or like what other fucking Payless shoe options do you have? Fucking
Airwalk.
Yeah, no, it's going to be fucking Mossimo.
God damn it.
The fucking Target brand or some shit like that.
Those Italian shirts. God damn it.
Fucking, it's the worst. Anyway. But yeah, it's going to be bad. Alright, well, I'll keep it moving on. You mentioned Ariel Helwani, and the two catches I have for this week are the episodes of The Insiders, which is hosted by Shaq, formerly of the Pull No Punches podcast with Kajan. And episode 5 he did with Jordan Breen, which was really cool. It's classic Jordan Breen episode in that, like, Jordan Breen just completely breaks the format of that show and goes on long tangents, and it's just everything I love about Jordan Breen. You get to hear a crazy story about the time Jordan Breen met Mike Beltran for the first time, and of course Mike Beltran's legit just wearing a duster around like he's fucking Mac from It's Always Sunny. Which is very on brand for Mike Beltran. And then I'm not going to spoil the story, but let's just say that story ends with one of the greatest quotes I've ever heard, and it makes me completely rethink how I've considered Mike Beltran forever. Let's just say it involves Mike Beltran buying Jordan Breen's shots and then pointing at him and saying something fucking ridiculous and so MMA. And it's real good. Let's see some other stuff. He kind of just gets into how he got started with Sherdog and why he kind of stayed with them for so long. He talks a lot about like the media the red tape that you have to deal with being in the MMA media, since almost everyone is owned by a corporation who's also owned by a corporation. So like anyone who actually makes a decision is like 3 bosses ahead of anyone you speak to, and it's all just PR and ad revenue decisions basically. He also talks about why Josh Gross is the greatest MMA journalist ever, which I will stand by easily. If he's not the best, he's top 3, and I'll give you a hint. The other guest that I'm going to talk about on this show is not in the top 3. He also talks a little bit about his substance use and abuse, and he actually says he thinks why the Sirius deal ended is because he was drunk on radio enough times that they're like, I'm good. Which, anyone who listens between rounds knows that there was a couple episodes, especially of Collapsed MMA. I believe there was a part 1, but not a part 2 to a Collapsed MMA episode where Jordan Breen was hammered. I believe I've actually referred to myself as having gone full Jordan Breen on a couple episodes where I'm drinking way too heavy.
I know I have at least once.
You have a couple times, but most of them are just commentaries, though, which don't really count. But yeah, it's I love Jordan Breen. I love that dude's honesty and just the way he talks about things, and yeah, just his not giving a fuck Like, and just pure. I feel like that dude is pure honesty maybe to a fault, and I think that's kind of why he's so endearing and why I relate to him so much. So, absolutely love that. And Shaq is a fucking great interviewer. He asks really hard, uncomfortable questions, and then he'll follow up on shit, which is like, that's my biggest complaint about MMA media is they have zero follow-up questions. Like, they never have a follow-up question. Or if they do, it's like, okay, now you want to do a PR piece? Like, oh, so can you tell me about why you're happy to be with the UFC? Or, so then you're also a big fan of Dana then? Like, that's not a follow-up question, dude. And then, so the other episode that I listened to of this show, which I believe is the season finale, is The Insider's episode 6, where Ariel Helwani was a guest. And if you were to tell me, hey, Ariel Helwani does an interview with Shaq, and they talk about just like working at ESPN and stuff, I'd be like, oh, that sounds absolutely like something skippable. But holy shit, dude, the first question he asks is whether Ariel feels like he's an instigator. First question. He's like, Ariel, I saw that you posted that shit about steaks. Like, there was a picture of like steak, coffee, and toast, and you like picked all the worst options. Like, you picked well done steak and fucking super white coffee and untoasted toast. And Ariel's like, well, yeah, I just think I think of it as a social experiment. I just think it's an interesting reflection on people that they get so angry about other people's preferences. You're like, so you're an instigator. So confirmed. Thank you. And then he continues to just kind of ask Ariel real fucking hard questions. He asks him about how he feels about being objective and his objectivity while working at ESPN while they're in bed with the UFC.
And I don't mean to interrupt, but can you say who was on here again? All I heard was Ariel.
It's just Ariel. It's Ariel, and Kajan is interviewing him.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Or not? Sorry, not Kajan. Not
Kajan.
Shaq. Sorry, Shaq from the podcast with Kajan. I'm mixing that up. Yeah, it's Shaq. I don't want to butcher Shaq's name. If you look up Shaq on MMA fighting, Bloody Elbow, or if you look up The Insiders episode 6, because I will absolutely butcher the pronunciation of his name. But yeah, he's great, and he's asking really hard questions that you just don't hear asked. Part of it's because a lot of people who do ask those questions no longer have access. Like, shouts out to the entire Bloody Elbow team, who Shaq is a part of. But Shaq also has, like, he's been in touch with a lot of these guys for a long time and done interviews with them even back over on the Pulling the Punches podcast. So it's just cool hearing him ask fucking hard questions and uncomfortable shit, because they're questions that should be asked, and there's no reason for people not to ask him, And then, people can give whatever answer. Like, Ariel can give whatever answer he wants. That's not, the point. The point is, if people have those feelings, people should be asking those questions. It doesn't happen in the sport. So, the other questions he asked about the objectivity while working at ESPN and how he's able to maintain that. He also says, and Ariel actually somewhat references, he's like, I know some of your colleagues over at Bloody Elbow say that I'm all about access, which is like, literally everyone calls him Access Ariel, and he's like, I think that's really kind of small-minded thinking and jealousy. I'm like, motherfucker, I bet you do. Yeah, but this is exactly why people should be asking these questions, because Ariel should be answering these questions, especially as a journalist, dude. Like, that's how you maintain credibility and objectivity, is by answering hard questions like that.
Do you see why I am not going to ever be a legitimate MMA journalist?
Well, it's because there are none, or if they are, they're blackballed. Shouts out to Bloody Elbow, Josh Gross, and Loretta Hunt.
Yeah, I already told everyone I'm either going to do baseball. No, I want to do. Well, I told you I want to mainly do baseball because I have a whole year for my job. So
right, exactly. Yeah, there's 400.
It's the best sport to cover if you can do it well.
There's more games than there are days in the year. So
that and golf.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's see. Oh, he also asked some other interesting questions, like, does ESPN block stories? He asked about the MMA-JA issues and about why lesser-known journalists... Shaq says, I've spoken to some smaller outlets and lesser-known journalists who've said that they don't feel like they get support from the MMA-JA when they're banned or blacklisted. And, it's kind of circular answers, which is fine. And then they talk a bit about the MMA fighting exodus. But I just wanted to give a big shout out because, man, you really don't... Interview shows don't sound like this. Interview shows sound like Ariel's show. Or interview shows sound like...
Interview shows almost seem like they're following not a script necessarily, but definitely...
they're real close to a UFC conference call. Like press conference call.
Yeah.
They're like...
A schedule.
Well, and they're always just like... If it's media, it's... Hey... What do you think about the fights that happened last week? What do you think about the fights that are happening next week? Did you see what this dude posted on Twitter? What's happening with Conor McGregor? Cool, we'll see you next week where we ask another dude the same questions.
Yeah, as they would say in like if you go to like an open city council forum, they call it a docket. What's on the docket?
Right.
And a docket is essentially just a document, but it's a scheduled document. You know, on that docket, it's what the fuck your government's going to talk about in a scheduled manner. So, yeah. Yeah,
it's really cool to see Shaq asking hard questions and doing like real fucking interviews. He also did great interviews with Luke Thomas and Brian. Why can I not think of Brian's name from Morning Combat? Campbell. And he even asked them like some questions to kind of poke at each other, which was hilarious. And then he also did a couple others as well, which I think I've talked about in past episodes. But man, I've always really enjoyed Shaq's content. I was always a big fan of the Pull No Punches podcast, and we were both sad to see that go. Both because Kajan's such a strong voice for unionization and fighters' rights, and because Shaq is just a good interviewer. Like, he's just fucking good at it, and he's getting better. So. And he's 24 for fuck's sake, which is really crazy. Yeah, I'm very high to see what that dude has going forward, especially since he's a Bloody Elbow. Where, I mean, I've seen a bunch of people from Bloody Elbow, Jordan Breen, John Nash, and Shaq all mentioned this week that like, man, working at that site, like, they care about content so much more than they care about ad clicks. Like, John Nash essentially said this week that he wouldn't have a job if they cared about ad clicks, because he doesn't, or click-throughs, because he doesn't actually, his content doesn't generate clicks. His content's just, like, hard fucking journalism. And so, yeah, I just think it's very cool that there's still an outlet doing shit like that. And there's some young ones coming up, too. Like the Body Lock is one of my go-to examples. Will come up later in this episode. But those were my catches for this week. Man, my skip this week, we've already kind of gotten into it. Yeah, there's no reason to listen to anything Joe Rogan or Brendan Schaub do until, I don't know, until the world changes. Because it's embarrassing at this point.
For sure, B.
Like, it's embarrassing to have even ever talked about either of their shows at this point.
Yeah, I remember it was actually a coworker of mine, listener of the show occasionally, Jack. I remember
shouts out.
Shouts out to Jack. He had actually asked me, he's like, hey man, do you think that Rogan's actually kind of like enables alt-right kind of activity? And I was like, I don't think so, because I know he's liberal. At least I get that feeling as far as socially. But why would he have Alex Jones on his show?
I wish I could credit who I saw say it. I can't remember on Twitter. If you go back through our likes, you can probably find it, but it was a while back, so good luck with that. But I saw someone on Twitter say, have you ever seen, I'm paraphrasing liberally, but it was something along the lines of, do you guys have any examples of someone who is kind of, someone who, I'm trying to explain it without, because I don't remember the exact quote and it's hard to explain, but essentially, someone said that reference like, oh, this is obviously Rogan's podcast, when someone said, have you ever seen someone who starts out being so anti everything that they go super left, and then they realize everyone they're around is so left that they continue that streak and then go really hard right? You're like, yeah, it's kind of just reactionary bullshit from Rogan and Eddie and a lot of those dudes. And the problem is like in every case with every piece of history ever, they have moments of clarity and realization and where they're absolutely right about fucked up things that are happening. But then Joe Rogan's like, you really want people to wear masks outside, bro? You're like, You fucking... Or he's like, bro, everyone here tested negative. I don't know why we have to wear masks in Florida. Even though there was 3 or 4 people who tested positive, and they were in contact with a lot of other people at that show. Also, Ian Heinish's corner tested positive and then negative, and then he still got to fight somehow.
Yeah, like I'll be honest, I should go do one of the free one of the free San Diego County test locations, because I participated in one of the protests and I voiced my opinion why I believe Black Lives Matter, and because I can't afford to be silent. I'm white, not to get all political, but
no,
yeah,
absolutely.
should I get tested? I absolutely
It's not even
should.
political. It's being a goddamn human being at this point.
But no, I need to get tested. Even though I feel fine a week later, still I can be asymptomatic. So yeah, I should absolutely get tested. Everyone get tested if you can, if it's actually free. That's been my only hesitation, is I don't have any health insurance, so I don't want to get tested.
Yeah,
and
luckily
they fucking bill me.
I think the tests are pretty cheap. I'm trying to remember what I've seen them billed out recently. It's not crazy expensive, but with Medicare, even like if you have Medicare or actual health insurance, it's still like in the, I want to say 50s.
Yeah, and I remember I saw at your workplace or your place of work, like I serve beer. I'm not a bartender, right? I'm a beer tender, but I get a lot of, I just call them guests. I don't want to call them customers, whatever, right? Regulars.
Yeah. The homies,
fellow gentleman.
Yeah.
Really fucking cool guy. If you start talking politics, I'm gonna just tell you to stop, just because I'm not me. I'm me as a worker at my job. And I remember like, oh yeah, I saw Orange County next week is going to have it where you don't have to wear masks at all anymore in the public. I'm like, I hope that happens here soon. And I was like, I don't, and I'm keeping it there.
Yeah, it's funny how everyone who actually works with the public is like, oh fuck, please don't take away mask rules, because Jesus.
I had to tell probably, luckily, only about 5 people yesterday. Yeah. And we didn't have too many people at our brewery.
Because you guys just recently opened back up.
Yeah, they walked up to the bar. I'm like, excuse me, sir or ma'am, I can't serve you. Why? You don't have a mask. Do you have one? It's in my car. All right, go get it, and you're good.
Yeah.
Another guy who's someone else's boss, I'm like, hey, if you don't have a mask at all, you can sit at the table with your friends.
Yeah, you just can't get up from the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, whether you want to call the guidelines or stipulations stupid, I'm not going to argue with that. I don't necessarily like them, but I'm still going to fucking follow them, because I don't want to get fired, because my boss literally is watching. Well, whether he's there or not, and ABC could be lurking, so I'm just...
And they have been, from what I've been
I know they have. I know they've been doing, for deliveries, they've been setting out decoys, because a lot of people have been buying delivery for craft beer online, or minors, apparently, have just been using...
Good for them, dude. I would have been...
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against the whole decoy system. I mean, because basically when I've delivered, even if it's like some old guy, I'm like, hi, Alex, or whatever the fuck. It doesn't matter what their name is. Is that you? Like, yeah, that's me. I'm like, okay. Usually I trust them if they're older, but if it's like some young person, I just go, are you 21? Whatever, right? Because the ABC has to answer honestly. Yeah. They can't lie to you. So I just go, are you 21? And then they show you
unlike the cops, the ABC actually has to be honest.
Yeah, right.
Although, to be fair, the ABC also just doesn't have the jurisdiction, just starts wailing on you if you disagree, so.
Yeah.
Fuck cops. Oh, God. I don't want to get on a well, I mean, it's not even political at this point. But yeah, I've gotten fucked with enough times by cops as a white middle-class dude that it's terrifying. Just because I was hanging out with people who were either not white or not middle class, and they fucked with me bad. Like, I've gotten shoved and fucked up by cops a bunch of times. A lot of female cops, actually. Like, I've been fucked. I've had a lot of female cops swing on me.
Bro, pun intended.
Well, no, I think they're trying. A lot of them knew that I did not listen to or give a fuck what they had to say, because they were like school cops and shit. Fuck that one white bitch, the one white blonde bitch. Fuck her, dude. She fucked over so many of our friends just for bullshit. Like, she just literally, she pulled me out of a cop car one time, and she literally said, "I've been waiting to catch you." I was like, "Bitch, I haven't done anything."
I forgot. Were you at UC or Claremont?
Claremont. Fuck that white bitch. She knows who she is too. She can come see me. Fuck her. Anyway, but yeah, fucking. I don't know. I grew up in the punk scene, and I just like all my experiences with cops was either them chasing us out of parks or them literally like shutting down venues and then calling curfew on everybody.
So
where you're like, that's the biggest bitch move. Like you shut down the place at curfew, and then you're like, you're all out past curfew, even though we made you leave the building. This
is a fun little. It's not fun actually. It's mostly ironic, or it is ironic. The only time I've dealt with cops at my high school, since I went to a Catholic private school.
Yeah, you went to the white people
There was
school.
a pedophile, a known sex offender. Pedophile.
Oh wait. Do you mean there was a pedophile at the
so this is what I'm getting.
Jesus-y
there is
school?
a pedophile on the run, and he somehow got on our campus. I remember, like, some of my classmates were like, "Bro, this dude is like trying to look at my dick when I was taking a piss in the urinal." Like, weird shit like that. I remember, like, police came on the campus and they fucking arrested the guy and or some shit. I remember because my school was so immature. His last name was like Price. So that some kid at my school made a Facebook group called the Price Club. It's so fucked because they wanted to just fuck with just the administration at school.
Right.
But yeah, considering a pedophile is on loose at a all boys Catholic high school, considering we also have priests on our campus.
Right.
How the fuck are we gonna catch them?
Yeah, 100%. They're like, well, I mean, we either arrest everybody over 30 or.
It's like, okay.
Yeah, see, all my experiences with cops was was with them just staring me down because I had leathers on or because I had a bondage belt. And, like, to be fair, I did for a little bit rock a shoot the kids at school, leftover crack, 7-inch ass flap, which was amazing. But never got any problems with that. I got problems for, like, having an orange fucking blazer on that was, like, an orange plaid blazer on. They're like, you look like fucking trouble because you got a mohawk, bro. Like, look, come here, what's your name? I'm like, motherfucker. And I was like a fucking middle-class white kid, so, yeah.
So like, what's your name?
Fuck
sure.
Yeah, exactly. So, my point is, fuck SDPD, fuck Santee PD. Actually, we don't have a police department, we just have a fucking sheriff's department.
Yeah, county sheriff.
Yeah, but just fuck police in general. There are allegedly good police. I've met two.
That's what I was going to say. I don't believe in all cops are bastards.
I believe a lot of cops are bastards, though. It's too many fucking closed-mouth bitches.
I only say that because I have an uncle who's an awesome person. He's a cop.
Sure, but has your uncle who's an awesome person who's a cop been quiet while another cop was fucking somebody up? Probably.
I have no idea.
So. I would bet yes, because based on every piece of footage on right now on...
well, chain of command, keeping your job.
Yeah, police unions, The Wire. You know, I know how it goes. I seen oh god, I can't remember her name. Keep on calling her Tisha, but I know that's not her name on that show. Anyway, I seen her go and fuck up a dude just because he swung on a cop. Anyway, go watch The Wire if you want to learn some shit about police. That show is more and more prescient by the day. Or Treme also.
Well, it also doesn't help that in real life the Baltimore Police Department was infiltrated by the Ku Klux Klan.
Or it doesn't help that New Orleans Police Department can't stop killing black people no matter what they do, specifically during times of crisis, or
Atlanta.
Well, exactly. Well, there's the bridge the fucking bridge incident that Treme is all about, where essentially they left a bunch of black dudes up on a bridge because they were just randomly arresting black dudes for being out past curfew or for like small tag shit while a hurricane was about to happen. They left them up on a fucking bridge for days and just threw like cheese sandwiches into a pile and just let them try and get a sandwich. They lost like half those people. Whole fuck ton of people died and they hit it. It's a terrible, terrible story. And all those cops got off. It's like 13 of them. They all got off. No fucking nothing.
Police are just legal gangs. So.
100%. I've been hearing in punk music for a decade. So
I gotta piss my pants real quick, so I'll be right back.
That works. And while I mute Chris while he does that, I will blabber about some more stuff. So actually, that is a great segue into one of my can't miss episodes for this week, which is Unleashed, episode 88. This is the show hosted by Ant Walker, Jay Petrie, and Ben Duffy, which I really like. And they had Matthew Wells on as a guest, who is on the Slip and Dip podcast. Although, are they still doing the Slip and Dip podcast? I feel like I haven't heard anything about that podcast for a while. Let me see. I'm pulling up their YouTube channel right now. When's their most recent video? 3 months ago. Huh. I need to reach out and see what's going on with that. But yeah, Matt Wells was on, and I thought this was a really important episode to listen to for a bunch of reasons. Number one is because they are being brutally honest about just not only the situation with the UFC and fighter pay, but also just the situation with the way the world is handling fucking everything right now. And there aren't a lot of like strong black voices in MMA podcasts. I mean, there are a handful, but not nearly as many as I'd like to see. I know Angie Hill has her show that she's been doing, which is really cool. Of course, Slip and Dip, which I guess isn't around right now. I don't know what the deal is with that. Ant Walker, of course, on Unleashed, and he guests on some stuff here and there. Dean Thomas has a show off and on with both Tyron Woodley and with TJ Santos every once in a while, though I'm not sure if that's still happening. So there are a handful of voices, but this was one of the most, I would say, I don't know how to phrase it. I guess this is one of the ones that I found the most enlightening, for lack of a better phrase, just because I really enjoyed hearing Ant and Matt talk openly about just not only, I mean, first off, it's always good to hear them talking kind of about how fucked up the pay situation is, since they're always very open about that. They also mentioned that the UFC fighters don't get shit for the video game rights, which is, I mean, that's the whole reason AKA was blacklisted for a while from the UFC, which is fucking wild when you look back on it, especially considering the NFL, I believe, the players alone just made $500 million from the deal that they signed for the video game. So definitely an interesting topic. And then they also talk about stuff that, honestly, it was interesting hearing them comment very similar feelings that I had when on UFC 250 they showed the fucking in memoriam George Floyd thing, and like, it just doesn't feel good, especially with like Dana the same week donating to cops who were who like suffered injuries during Vegas stuff, and like just like the UFC's practices, the UFC's stances, Dana being at the RNC, and like for them to put that on the broadcast feels so fucking disingenuous and gross. I didn't even watch the pay-per-view because I knew that shit was going to happen, and I didn't watch it at the time. I watched it afterwards. Definitely did not pay for it, because why would you give them any fucking money right now for this shit? But I just thought it was really interesting to get Ant and Matt's take on that, because it was very similar to my own, but also they brought up some really interesting points. Like, number one, the UFC has shown over and over again that they are willing to do like kind of just surface level appeasing over and over again, just to like make people. It's just PR bullshit. It's just like every fucking dumb email you've gotten from every corporation being like, "Listen, we hear you and we're listening." Where you're like, that's a non-statement. You're doing nothing. You're basically just saying, hey, please don't leave. Yeah. It's fucking embarrassing. So, yeah, Chris, like I mentioned, so we'll get into this a bit later, but you watched UFC 250, right?
Oh, yeah.
Did you see the in memoriam title card? The thing they did for George Floyd?
Oh, no, I missed that.
Yeah, so they put up a title card, essentially.
Okay. About
that, and I was just talking about how on Unleashed episode 88, which is the show hosted by Ant Walker, Jay Petrie, Ben Duffy, and then they had Matt Wells from Slip and Dip on as a guest, and they were talking about how just disingenuous it feels. Like, it's exactly like I said, it's exactly like all those emails you get from fucking Chili's being like, oh bro, we hear you and we're here with you. Like, but they don't actually say anything. They don't actually make a statement. They don't actually do anything productive. It's just literally PR gloss. That, like, some fucking producer was like, hey, if we just put, like, a title card and be like, have John Anik say, like, it's a solemn night, and then we just move on and have fist fights, then it will really garner good public relations. Where it's like, it's so vapid and, like, just, like I said, it's such a like surface level appeasing that is really gross, especially considering, number one, the UFC just recently, as part of their documentary series, did essentially a documentary about Trump and how he helped the UFC. That was not even 6 months ago, I don't think. It definitely wasn't a year ago. And then number two, they also, like, I don't remember if it was Ant or Matt who posed the question, Dana's still going to show up the next RNC, right? Like, for when the elections come back around, Dana's going to be on stage at the next RNC
that's
again.
Right. Oh.
So, like, how do you put that up and then also show up at the fucking RNC rallying for Trump again? Like, it's the most vapid, like, just embarrassing, desperate plea for PR credit that, like, just, it means fucking nothing. A great comparison they made actually on that episode is that they said it's like the UFC selling Pride shirts while they're in business with Ramzan Kadyrov, which they also did. Or like how they're selling fucking masks that have UFC written all over it while the president of the UFC refuses to put cloth over his face so he can be in attendance. It's just the most hypocritical, insane bullshit, and this is one of the best examples I saw, just kind of they gave so many clear and direct contradictory examples that, like, it just completely ruins any facade you have that you can, like, it is so hard to even talk about this company right now in any kind of conscious way about, like, that's how I'm amazed that so many journalists are just talking about, like, so fights are happening next weekend. You're like, what the fuck? Are you saying anything that's happening in the sport or anything that's happening with the company you're covering? Like, that's your questions at press conferences? Is about the fucking fights that happened? I don't know.
By the way, I have a legitimate question, and I'm ignorant to the fact because I've never tried to follow any journalists that cover this particular sport. But how is journalism in boxing?
It's weird. It's more since there's no one entity, it's a lot more open.
Yeah,
it's a lot. Also, like, a lot of dudes from like the 40s.
Yeah, because it's like, are you with Top Rank or are you with Showtime? Or are you?
You see there, and there's like none of that. So like everybody kind of covers everything, and everybody kind of gets access to everything, and like also promoters have little to no control. You know, because there's so many of them, and it's so distributed, and it's like promoters, like, you guys see guys like Eddie Hearn or all those classic boxing promoters who are like, Oscar De La Hoya is another good example, where they're just like constantly running their mouth doing PR, but like also journalists just basically call it PR over and over again. And so it's the reason why is because, number one, boxing media has been around for, I don't know, 100 plus years, and a lot of those dudes are 70. Like Kevin Iole actually has, from what I understand, much better boxing coverage than he has MMA coverage. I don't follow Kevin Iole's shit because I find it mostly worthless, like most of his opinions. I find it just literally PR, and it's fucking embarrassing that anyone gives. I understand that he has been around for a long time. Being around for a long time does not make you any kind of journalist.
As Jack Slack said it, he's like a slouch beanbag chair.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, he's just like one of those hand chairs, just cupping Dana's ass the entire time.
By the way, speaking of boxing, boxing returned last weekend, and big shouts out to Shakur Stevenson, 22-year-old featherweight champion of the world, and co-managed by Andre Ward, one of the greats of our generation. And this kid, they've compared him to Floyd Mayweather and Sugar Ray Robinson, and I absolutely believe the hype. This dude gets hit less than 4 times a round.
Whoa, Jesus Christ.
And
that's like some Willie Pep shit.
I'm telling you, dude, like, I'm all in on Shakur Stevenson. It's good to be a boxing fan right now. I'll tell you that, compared to MMA. I'm on MMA. We're an MMA.
Well, it depends on who you're
podcast.
paying attention to.
Well,
fucking, you still got Gervonta
because
Davis.
There's a million different fucking weight classes too. So, But that being said, if you're a boxing fan, and boxing is a large part of mixed martial arts and is a martial art, yeah, it's fun. I had a great time watching that card, even though every fight was a large mismatch.
Welcome to boxing, right?
Yeah, there's this dude from fucking Rome named Guido Vianello. He's like 6'6", giant Italian dude. Basically looks like Maximus from Gladiator. He's called the Gladiator. Yeah, badass. Good for him. He trains with Tyson Fury. I would definitely.
I heard a little bit about that.
Yeah. So
cool, man. So just to wrap this up for Unleashed episode 88, really good. They just brought up so many good points. Also, they just had, it's a funny episode. Like, for example, I think it was Ant Walker who talked about how John Jones, since he's out like at the protests, taking spray cans from white kids, which also fucking easiest. That's like, it's like me walking into a fucking playground and be like, hey, give me your crayon. It's fucking not necessarily the most oppressive, but it's still, I get it. Also, I don't really have a problem with graffiti. I feel like graffiti is fucking fine. Like, what? You have to buy a $10 can of paint and paint it over. Super sorry,
yeah,
bro.
Just don't.
Super sorry. You have such a struggle.
Just don't break shit.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm like graffiti. I don't really
burn
give a
shit.
fuck. Maybe it's also just because I like graffiti generally. Even bad graffiti, I kind of enjoy, especially if it's spelled wrong. Right? Yeah, well, I like graffiti that's spelled wrong. It's my favorite kind. But I did like that. I think it was Ant made the joke that John Jones is turning into Phoenix Jones in reverse. Because Phoenix Jones, if you guys don't know, I believe just recently, he originally was fighting crime in the streets of Seattle and then just recently got popped for a big-ass drug charge, whereas John Jones is doing the exact opposite order. So I thought that was pretty good. And then they do talk some fights at the end, like what's next for Burns, is Tyron done, is Aldo the right guy for the 135 title shot, and then they look at UFC 250. So really good episode, and just honestly, I think it's something that... it'll give you a lot of perspective that I feel like we don't get a lot of in MMA podcasting. It's a lot of voices that, like, I wish we had more of. Like, just strong voices who are I would love more diversity in voices, both culturally, economically. It's a lot of middle-class white dudes doing podcasts. I say that as a middle-class white dude doing a podcast. There's a lot of us. We could use more diversity in both economically, racially, everything. Just positionally, gender-wise, we could use more diversity. It would give better content. So I enjoy that they put that together, and also it's just it's a really good episode, regardless of anything. So I absolutely recommend it, and I mean, I've been a big Ant Walker fan since the Sherdog days. I like that dude's content, and they don't call him Big Sexy for nothing. Wait, that's a fighter? What does he call himself?
That's
I know it's not Sexual Chocolate. I'm just trying to remember. Ant always refers to himself as everyone wants to bang Ant. So
I think it's Sexual Chocolate.
Yeah, no, it's not. There's a fighter called Sexual Chocolate.
Then I don't know. I'm gonna get too many fighter nicknames.
I know. I'm absolutely burying any fucking credit we had for bringing that episode up by absolutely butchering Ant's weird sexual nickname he always gives himself. The other show I wanted to shout out, which was, I would argue, one of the most informative podcasts I've heard, and it's because it's with two of the most informative people I follow, and that is the Fight Business Podcast, episode 5. It's a show it's part of the Body Lock, which of course is the website that has guys like Michael every time I fuck up his name.
Not Michael Phelps.
No, it's either, I think it's Fidel, right?
Yeah, it was Fidel.
I think so.
The young kid, right? He's like a sophomore in college.
Yeah. I don't want to. I've always, he said it right once, but when people say the right way to say their name, I then permanently confuse the
That's
two.
why you have that pro tip of whenever you're introducing yourself to someone, you say your name twice, or you say their name back to them.
I know. What I really need to do is I need to just start like a John Anik UFC style voice recording of people saying their own names that I can reference in the future.
Like, I'm just like, hi, Ashley.
Yeah.
Ashley? Chris, nice to meet you.
Right.
Ashley.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not even that. It's specifically for podcasts. Like, I need a recording of Fernanda Praches saying her name so I don't butcher it every time I try and say it.
What was it? Fernanda Prates?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Fernanda. It's definitely how you say it is Fernanda. I'm the worst. Anyway, speaking of people's names I can pronounce. Oh, wait. I was going to say John Nash was the guest on the Fight Business podcast with host, and then Patrick's last name is hard. I think it's Auger. It's Auger, but I think it's Auger. This is just it's tough. It's hard doing a podcast about podcasts sometimes, guys, especially when you have finished your Mai Tai that may or may not have had overproof Ray and Nephew 101 rum in it. Right, so Fight Business Podcast, episode 5, John Nash guested, and it's really good. It's just a deep dive into the financial side of the sport right now, which, man, there's no one else doing it. It's John Nash and the Show Money guys, and then, like, literally the other two that I always see is Patrick Auger, who's the host of this podcast, and then Josh Gross occasionally touches on it. But it's really interesting. They talk a little bit about his recent article about One Championship and some of their, I don't know if they're reported losses or if they're just like projected losses, because One Championship's financial stuff is really weird. But it's cool to hear him kind of go in depth about that. I'm going to be honest, a lot of this stuff is so over my head, just because it's so deep in like the corporate financial weeds that, like, some of the turns of phrase and stuff is so occupational specific that it's, without sitting there on Google the entire time and re-listening to this a couple times, it's going to be hard to repeat it clearly. But some of the more important and I found more interesting points they brought up was specifically Gray Maynard and a bunch of fighters coming out and the recent statements about fighter pay. I don't know if you've been seeing Gray Maynard's Twitter.
I saw Gray Maynard stuff.
Dude, fuck yeah. That guy is, Gray Maynard's always been a smart dude, and that dude has put on more fucking wars and arguably won more 10-7 rounds than a lot of people in the fucking sport. Like, yeah. Just against Frankie Edgar, he had a couple arguable 10-7 rounds. Just the clearest 10-8 you've ever seen. And he's had a bunch of those throughout his career, and a dude like that arguing that he wasn't paid enough is like, man, how do you not pay a guy like that who just like he just fought his ass off every time he was in there. He's
also an alum of The Ultimate Fighter Season 5, probably my favorite season of The Ultimate Fighter.
And that's probably a big part of why he has clear problems with fighter pays, because those Ultimate Fighter contracts are notoriously the worst contracts in the sport. That's why a lot of people refused to go on The Ultimate Fighter back in the day. It's because once word got out about how bad they wrapped you up in, like, they would always say, oh, you get a $100,000 contract. But that $100,000 contract was for like 8 fights. So it's like, you get $100,000 if you fight all 8 fights in the UFC. You're like, oh, okay, so I'm making like $10K a piece. Maybe. After you actually do the math on it. And that doesn't even count fucking taxes, coach expenses, all that shit. So it's there's contract. Nate Diaz, that's why he's always been so obstinate, him and his brother, is because they fucked Nate over so bad with how long he got locked in. They also talk a little bit about how overtly hostile the Trump administration has been towards unionizing efforts. It's rumored that his administration was a big part of the reason why Leslie Smith's efforts just got completely halted by the NLRB, or the National Labor Relations Board, I believe. It was literally said, like, executives came in and spoke to them, and then all of a sudden they're like, you know what, we don't really think there's anything here, which is convenient, especially considering who the president of the company went and rallied for. They talk about leagues offering a 50% revenue split to prevent free agency, because essentially that's how the NFL, like, a lot of people think that the NFL athletes had to fight for 50% revenue split, where in reality, a lot of those leagues, like the NFL or the MLB and all that stuff, really what in the long run, because of how the laws ended up, like how the different cases ended up being ruled, essentially those leagues actually were the ones that offered the 50% split so that they can have essentially rights to keep people on board for longer periods of time, so they didn't have free agency. They couldn't just leave to another league who was offering more money. They're like, hey, we'll give you 50% of a revenue split if you will sign to us for a long-term deal and not go anywhere else. And so it's such a weird concept in comparison to how all the UFC just talk about UFC unionization and fighter and like revenue splits in MMA works, which is really interesting. They also go into some details about, I believe this is where it's going to start getting over my head. We start talking about phrases like letters of agreement or like other forms of compensation. Like, for example, Rampage getting a Dodge Challenger, or John getting a Bentley for the Machida fight, or Holly's manager getting her 100,000 pre-sale tickets to sell for the Rousey fight. Like, so there's a lot of really interesting, like, in-depth details about how actual fighter pay and compensation is broken down. And it's just so in-depth and so... It's two dudes who are such clear and hardcore, like, business and numbers nerds that they're, like, going so in the weeds, and it's fascinating to listen to. I definitely need to re-listen to it and just pull up, like, a notepad and Google and try and actually dissect it a bit further. But I can't give enough credit to how good this episode is. I understand it's not for everybody. I understand a lot of people, this is going to be, like, the most boring, like, lecture bullshit about, like, just, like, it sounds like an economics class, a lot of it probably, which I get, but it's fascinating hearing about some of this stuff. And they also touch a little bit on how the ESPN pay-per-view guarantee hurts fighters' leverage. They touch on the updates to the antitrust case and how everything's kind of on hold until the class cert ruling from the judge. And then they do tease that they're going to be recording a new Show Money episode tomorrow on Sunday. However, I think John Nash confirmed no tequila. Although I don't know if they're drinking tequila on that show, but I know they've definitely, at least Jason has had some triple hennies. So I'm always hoping for more triple hennies on that show, but I have a feeling it might be a sober episode. But I will definitely be listening to it, and I'm interested to see their new episodes. I think it's going to be a good one with all the talk about fighter pay right now. So,
yeah, I mean, it's gonna be an active topic. I mean, is how I would put it.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I will rattle through a couple of these real quick. I did listen to a couple of news shows. Chris, I have some interesting news for you. What if I was to tell you the show Between the Links is back? It's the debate show that used to be on the Loudmouth Network.
Rings a bell.
It's like the roundtable one.
How long has it been gone?
So it's been gone because it changed into... I forget what they changed the name to. Here, let me look it up. They changed the name to... Is it Last One Standing? No, right? Yeah, it's Last One Standing. That's what they changed the name to. And they changed that name evidently because Mike Heck left the network to go to MMA Fighting, and now Mike Heck on MMA Fighting has revived the show Between the Links. So this was episode 1 that I listened to, and I'm interested to see how this show evolves going forward, because if you remember, back on the Loudmouth MMA Network, there would generally be a panelist of 4 people. I think most of the time it was Davidson Baker, Keith Schillen, Craig Allen, and like a 4th chair that would rotate out, depending on who was available. And then, of course, all those would kind of rotate a little bit. But for the first episode, Mike Heck is hosting, as he used to on Loudmouth, and the 2 guests were Jose Youngs and Alex K. Lee, or A.K. Lee, as people have started calling him, which I enjoy quite a bit. And yeah, it's interesting. I think that show works better with more than 2 people on it, because with 2 people, it kind of just sounds like like you're talking, not that you're debating, unless you're just going like full fucking skip. Yeah, unless you're going like full like Nate Diaz was 200 pounds and he's a sumo wrestler.
He's sumo the guy.
Yeah. So like unless you're going that hard and that obvious, I think it'll be interesting. I hope that they add a 3rd. I think if you add a 3rd person to every show, I think that would kind of really round it out. But that could just be because that's how I'm used to the format from before. So I'm curious to see how it evolves. But yeah, it was good. They talk about John versus Dana. They talk about which 3 stars from the UFC on ESPN 9 do you think will stand out. What's at stake for Amanda Nunes, UFC 250, and would Felicia beating Amanda be the biggest upset ever? So I liked it quite a bit. I know on the second episode he had Damon Martin on, who I believe Jose Youngs was officially 3-0 on Between the Links in the first episode, since he was on the old version. And then in the second episode on MMA Fighting, they had Damon Martin on, who's 2-0 on Between the Links, and they had a bit of a head-to-head. I did not get all the way through that episode, so I'm not sure who is ahead right now. But yeah, I'd like to see them add another person, because I think a 3-person panel really, like, you get a little bit more diversity, and then you can you get a little bit more, like, people don't feel as bad just, like, firing shots at each other when there's 3 of them, because then it can just be, like, a fun shit-talking kind of thing. Whereas if there's only 2 of you and you're the one talking shit and the other guy takes it poorly, it's a little bit harder. So, anyway, I like that one quite a bit. The second show I listened to, Chris, have you ever heard of Fighting with Myself?
Yes, I've heard of it, but
have you ever listened to it?
Can't say I have. Maybe.
Yeah, it's one that I followed. I believe Aaron's the host. Here, I'll pull it up because I'm pretty fucking positive. But because I'm actually a big fan of Aaron. I think his Twitter is hilarious, and I've been following him for a while. He does long ass podcasts. Yeah, it's Aaron Jackson, I believe is his name. And yeah, he's a funny dude, and his Twitter's great. I wish I had half the social media presence or wit that he does. But whatever you do, don't quote tweet him. He fucking hates that shit, evidently. But he had Fernanda Praches on as a guest, and it's just a fucking great conversation. Like, Aaron's a really interesting dude, and he has a theater background. So, yeah, he definitely, like, I don't know how to describe him. He's a very interesting character. Like, he's definitely a bit of a character, but it's, like, not at all forced. It's just, he's definitely a dude that, like, has a very specific personality. And I enjoy it, man. I think he's a lot of fun. So, it's cool hearing him talk, because he's also a big Fernanda fan, as everyone in the world should be. I mean, goddamn, she is clearly, just the fucking
she's
best.
Ahead of the curve.
Dude, she's the best. Like, she's fucking great. I'm a big Fernanda fan. And I think I just butchered her name again, even though I got it right before that. But they do talk a bit about, like, some of the weird shit happening in MMA. Like, they talk about Waleed Ismail never translating correctly. And then they talk a lot about, since Aaron, or I guess I should reference, he goes by Juice also, I believe. Which is confusing, because there's also Juice from I Fox with Juice podcast.
Yeah.
Very different people. I like them both, though. But they talk a lot about, since Aaron is learning Spanish, he's, like, pretty good in Spanish. I think he's like, probably a good portion more fluent than I am. Because, I mean, I've taken a lot of Spanish, but, like, you lose that shit if you don't.
Yeah, so have I. For me, it's to the point where I could understand about 75% of what you're saying.
Yeah, if people slow it down for me,
my brain doesn't want to conjugate anything that's coming out of my mouth.
Yeah, I can do it, but it takes me a long time, and it's a lot of, like, I hope I say hombre and not hombre, because those are two very different things.
Yeah.
That's my dad's favorite story, is he said, I believe the one time he went to, because my dad, the whitest man you'll ever meet, an accountant, looks like fucking Hitler Youth. He's a mustache, fucking comb over, whitest dude you'll ever see. He would admit to this as well. German and Polish, like, literally the whitest dude ever. But he also was pretty fluent in Spanish and taught Spanish for a long time. It's a weird thing. But yeah, he went to Mexico, and he's like, tengo hombre. They're like, you have a man? He's like, no, I'm hungry. He's like, fuck. So I thought that was pretty good.
Oh shit.
But yeah, so they talk a lot about how Juice has been reading, or Aaron's been reading Harry Potter in Spanish, which was cool. Yeah. They talk a little bit since, like, Spanish and Portuguese is, like, similar enough that I can pick up, like, every 5th or 6th word, but the conjugations don't at all work the same, and, like, some of the words just are not at all close. So it's a weird combination. So they kind of go back and forth about that, which was interesting. They talk about the kind of the safety rules and like regulations being followed a lot more at the UFC Apex card. They also talk about Dana throwing a temper tantrum about not wanting to wear a mask and how it's the weirdest flex ever. Which
I just got COVID test number 7, fuckface.
Yeah, fucking coward media who are all wimps and won't fight me, even though
all these guys are pussies.
Even though I hide from all of them.
That reminds me, I listened to Part of My Take with PFT commentator and Big Cat. I like those guys a lot. I don't necessarily like Barstool Sports main page because a lot of it's just a bunch of bullshit. But they have some good podcasts.
Shouts out to your boy Robbie.
I should probably listen to this podcast.
You should.
And how big of a fucking pop culture nerd that is.
Well,
I should or shouldn't?
If you want to hear about comic book shit, then maybe, but like not if you at all want to hear any kind of relevant fucking MMA garbage.
And even then, there's probably, no offense to Roddy Fox, and I had never really listened to him. He's probably an okay guy. I don't know. I don't like to talk shit on people I don't know, but I can always listen to Kevin Smith as well if I want to listen to comic book shit. So. And
also, like Kevin Smith, way more likable.
My point is, Barstool Sports, I'm indifferent, but a lot of their podcasts, specifically Part of My Take and Lights Camera Barstool, their movie podcast is pretty solid.
Nice. If you guys want a great movie podcast, The Film Vault, also with Anderson Cowan and Ball Bryan, is an all-time great movie podcast.
Oh,
Dan Tom's actually big fans of them as well.
And again, my unnecessary, of course, off-topic plug for HBO Max. If you already were an owner of HBO Now, your $15 a month was now even more justified because they added hundreds of films, classic films.
I heard there's some dope shit on HBO Max that
bro.
Wait,
you got 10 times better. Dude.
Hold on. Does HBO Max have Mr. Show? Because this is what's gonna shut the fuck
HBO.
up.
Yeah, it does. I almost 100% guarantee it has Mr. Show. Bro, I'll just give you my. Do you have HBO?
I do.
I'll just give you my login.
No, I do. If they have Mr. Show, then I know what the fuck I'm doing.
Dude, guess what I was watching the other day? High as fuck. Samurai Jack. That show is great.
Oh yeah, Samurai Jack is awesome.
I didn't realize. I was like, wow. I could see why I was watching this when I was like a kid, like 12. I don't fucking know.
Is Mr. Show on Hulu? Oh, Mr. Show's on Hulu.
You might need the HBO extension though.
You do, but that actually. Oh yeah, HBO Max has Mr. Show. Holy fuck, Chris! This is a game changer.
Yeah, no, I was.
People
watching that about a year ago.
Why don't people talk about Mr. Show?
Because. And people do recognize Bob Odenkirk's greatness as well as David Cross, but Bob Odenkirk fairly, like Better Call Saul, one of the best dramas on television right now.
Nowhere near as good as Mr. Show though.
For me,
Mr. Bob, we're walking down on the street.
My favorite episode is the one my favorite one's the one where the guy needs change and he needs quarters.
Oh yeah, my favorite is the Red Balloon episode with. Is that a Ronnie Dobbs episode? The fucking you got to follow your balloon. That episode or the you know what, that might actually be the same episode as the third wheel, the honeymoon with the third wheel legend. Fucking legend, third wheel legend.
I think I remember that one. By the way, we should just get into off-topic stuff.
Yeah, we're basically on off-topic stuff. I'll touch on
fucking 90 minutes.
I know, but I have almost nothing to say about what we're going to talk about later. So
I was going to say, should we recap last week?
We'll talk about it briefly. We'll talk about
I'll be honest. Since we're already at this point, 90 minutes, I don't necessarily want to recap 250. I just kind of want to talk about what should happen now, as far as who won.
Okay,
if that's cool with you.
Yeah, that works for me.
Specifically the men's bantamweight division.
Dude,
what a mess. Great again.
Okay, well, before we get to that and before we jump to break real quick, last thing I did have to bring up was Coffee with a Chance of Meatballs. Molly McCann has a new podcast, which is pretty cool. I listened to episode 1, which was with Chris Cyborg. Couple disclaimers. Specifically with episode 1, it sounds like Molly is either recording inside a well or a warehouse made of tin. I'm not sure which. It also sounds like she's really far from the mic, but also somehow rubbing against the mic. I'm not sure if it's because she has a fan on.
Can you hear me back here?
Yeah, no, it sounds way better than that, Chris. Or way worse than that.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, no, it sounds way worse than that. It's what I think is she might have the mic pointed away from her. Because it's that kind of echoey where it's like she's clearly getting picked up on the mic, but it doesn't at all sound. And also, I think she's recording Chris's audio off a speaker. So I think what you might have is like the mic set up between her and the speaker, and then be talking that way. Which I don't know but it sounds like there's a fan on in the background, which is what the horrible hissing in between silences is. I'm guessing that, or whatever program she's using to, like if she's using like Levelator or I don't know what kind of normalizing or compression she's doing, but it sounds like something's off, and it's hard to know without seeing her setup or her post processing, but. Yeah, it's not great. It definitely gets better in more recent episodes. I listened to episode 3 just to hear the audio quality. Definitely still has the fan problem, but her mic quality seems to be a lot better. So that's good at least. But I do want to give that disclaimer because I know a lot of people have trouble with mic sounds like that. But it's a cool episode, though. It seems like Molly is kind of trying to focus the show around like women empowerment and kind of women who do jobs in male-dominated industries, which is pretty cool. So it's a lot of questions to Chris about just kind of like being on lockdown and kind of losing to Amanda and how she processed it afterwards. Because Molly was really honest about how sad she got and how much it affected her and for a really long time after losing her UFC debut. And they also talk like the Felicia Spencer fight and the USADA ban. So just a really good episode, and I'm curious to see that show grow going forward. I'm hoping that we can sort out her audio problems. I might send her a message and see if I can help. I mean, who am I? But it sounds like it's a fan.
I mean, I think she'll appreciate it either way.
Well, and even if she doesn't, I like her to be aware that her audio sounds fucked. But yeah, that show's really good. So I'm going to keep an eye on it, definitely. I'm just going to rattle these off because I have a whole bunch of honorable mentions. So I'm not going to get into them. I'm just going to say what they are. But Wrestling for MMA, episode 10, the podcast Ed Gallo does on the Fight Site was really good. I've really been liking the content he put out. A lot of that was about Aljo versus Sandhagen and the lead up to that fight. The Fight Site interview with Dean Thomas was fantastic. Felipe interviewed him, and just really informative. Fight Site interview with Muhammad Usman that Ben Cohn did is really good, as well as the interview he did with Ayman Zahabi was fantastic. All of those on any other week would probably be catches for me, but since this was such a crazy week with so much stuff going on, they didn't quite make it, but they easily could have. I don't have time to talk in depth about all of them. The co-main event, episode 405, was really good. They talk about Chad leaving the Athletic, as well as the co-main event live chat for June 10th and the co-main event Power Hour, where they officially announced everyone should just not call it Fight Island anymore, because it's not a fucking island, and it's not fucking Fight Island. It's a place they've been to a bunch of times. It's just Abu Dhabi. So let's just call it Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
Which I'm 100% on board with. You will not hear me refer to Fight Island unless I'm making fun of Fight Island.
I'm just calling it Ferrari World.
Yeah. I heard Bring the Pain Insula pitched on a Shawnee podcast. I like that one a lot. Let's see. Speaking of Shawnee podcasts, Severe MMA did an episode about the Severe MMA origins on their Patreon, which was really good. Sean and Graham talk about kind of just how he started the site and the kind of process behind it. So if you're interested in kind of media and how the sausage is made, it's a really good one. Come On Now, episode 71, all about the many lies that Dana is telling about fighter pay, is fantastic. Heavy Hands, episode 319, is really good. They had Tom Elliott from the Fight Site on. And also they called Spike Carlisle a hyper-confident male Betch Kohea. Which is, I'm fucking here for that all day. That is amazing. The A-Side live chat, the UFC 250 Fallout, was actually really good. I normally would skip this, but it depends on the guests, since the guests aren't fucking compromised. And so they had Kristen King and Ant Walker on, and so that's really good. Also, Ant Walker is drinking Irish coffee out of a Deadpool mug at 10 a.m., so that's an automatic listen for me. Let's see. Fights Come By, episode 211 was really good. A lot of dunking on Fight Island and how it's literally the very least amount needed to be called an island, because they just dug a canal around a piece of land. Technically, does that make parts of Venice Beach an island? What the fuck are we doing? And then lastly, the Writer and the Fighter, episode 70. David Golden hosted it solo, which is hard as fuck to do. And he's really good as a solo host. He broke down his picks for UFC 250, and it was a lot of fun. So I definitely recommend those. Chris, do you have any honorable mentions for this week, or well-rounded stuff? I should say.
I've got multiple well-rounded stuff for sure.
What you got?
Sorry, I thought I just caught you at, I can't see you, but I had to be all Brendan Schaub there for a second.
Oh, there you go.
Okay, so shouts out to ESPN's 30 for 30 recent releases. I watched the Bruce Lee one called Be Water. Wow, I'd actually just say that way racist. Be Water.
Be
wow.
Water.
Yeah, see, I'm an asshole. Be Water. It's about Bruce Lee.
You didn't call it the Bruce Lee movie, you fucking racist.
Yep. I didn't say that, but I could have if I was more of an asshole. But yeah, it was about Bruce Lee, his philosophy, his impact on Hollywood. It's weird because he was barred from Hollywood because they're racist as fuck.
Right.
A lot of people took it. They interpret it as, oh, he had a giant impact on mixed martial arts. I saw it as he definitely did have some mixed martial arts stuff in there. Is that he kind of, in the 60s, he kind of what people see as like the oblique kick or kicks to the knee, side kicks to the knees, spinning back kicks, shit like that, right?
Yeah.
He wanted Chinese martial arts essentially to be showcased in Hollywood compared to Japanese martial arts like judo and karate and jiu-jitsu. No mention of Brazilian jiu-jitsu, which is fine because Bruce Lee, to my knowledge, has 0%.
No, it was all
zero
Japanese.
Experience in grappling.
No, he had some Japanese jiu-jitsu. Like, for example, in which movie was it that the dude hit the belly down armbar in?
Oh, that's right. Okay.
There's a movie where he fought a dude who hit a belly down armbar, and then he got out of it by biting the guy in the fucking ankle. If I remember
the reason
right.
why I shout this out is I did a great job at discussing. I can't even talk. Jesus Christ! Systemic racism in Hollywood, in the United States, racism against blacks, racism against Asians. I enjoyed it. The only thing though too is it was interesting reading some of the comments about Bruce Lee. You get the typical. And they're 100% serious. I swear to you, I read. Bruce Lee would beat Anderson Silva hands down. He has inhumane strength. Don't ever underestimate the skills of Master Bruce Lee.
Yeah, no, definitely the 135-pound Bruce Lee is gonna
Anderson
fuck up
Silva
Anderson.
doesn't have 85 pounds on him, but okay. What were you saying?
Well, and Anderson Silva knows jiu-jitsu, which is gonna be a fucking problem.
And could Bruce Lee defend a takedown?
That too.
So. I don't mean to be. I'm not against Bruce Lee, but I'm saying like
Bruce Lee is gonna get fucking
Vitor
Belfort front kicked like a motherfucker.
Choreographed most of the shit in his films. Could he have been a legit mixed martial artist?
If he fought, but he didn't.
He didn't. Would I put it past him to be great in the UFC if he actually trained? No, because the guy clearly is a martial artist and a fundamental.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if he would have been able to hang in the USADA era, though.
You don't know. Yeah, and who knows? But it was a good 30 for 30. That being said, the 30 for 30 that comes out tomorrow is going to be fucking amazing. It's called Long Summer Gone. It's about the race to see who would break Roger Maris's home run record between Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa.
Oh, shit. Everybody get your needles out.
Yeah, it's going to be fucking great and chaotic. And, absolutely look forward to that tomorrow. Summer 98 was awesome. I also want to give a shout out to the Chris D'Elia podcast because I got some official merch from Chris D'Elia's store. Got this badass hoodie. It says "Life Rips." It's like this. Basically, it's like a cotton candy cloud coloring.
It's pretty good.
Super comfy, and Chris D'Elia is hilarious. He had a podcast earlier today about the racist piece of shit lady who didn't like the Filipino guy and said, "You know what kind of games I play? Games where you get fucked to death." And the guy was like, "Oh, do tell." So.
Yeah, that's one way to go about it. Cool, man. Let's see. My honorable mentions for this week are... Actually, let me write down your Chris D'Elia one before I forget it. My honorable mentions for this week are, to start with, man, I gotta give a big shout out to, where the fuck are my, there we go. Issues with Andy, episode 56, the one where the Doug Stanhope drop in, where Doug Stanhope joined the Issues with Andy podcast. It's a fucking shit show. A lot of, I mean, you want to hear more stories about Andy getting molested in Coquille, Oregon? We got you. That shit's really weird, but really fun. Let's see. Oh, God, I love my internet crashing all the goddamn time on this
Don't mean
live
to
stream.
interrupt real quick, but the Crystal Lee episode is episode 176.
Perfect.
And then
Write that down.
also quick shout out to Bill Burr and Judd Apatow and Pete Davidson. The new movie King of Staten Island just came out today, and I plan on watching that.
Yeah, I've heard good shit about it so far.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Let's see. So some other well-rounded stuff I wanted to shout out. Top 5 tiki drinks from How to Drink. Link in the description, or if you go to thesoundofviolence.com, it'll be there. But top 5 tiki drinks on How to Drink is awesome. It's actually the recipe I'm using for the Mai Tai that I had earlier, and it's really good. I highly recommend it. I love that dude Greg who does that show. I like that show in general. I think it's incredible. It's insane, the production value on that show, considering what it is. I believe it's a bunch of actual production people who work in the industry, and he lives in New York and all that. So pretty interesting for sure. But they're doing some cool stuff on there. And he is very knowledgeable in both rum and tiki drinks and all that stuff, so definitely recommend it. Let's see. We also I wanted to shout out the Wigwam Motel and the Black Forest Lodge. I stayed at the Wigwam Motel in San Bernardino. That was if you guys have ever seen Route 66 and you've seen a bunch of teepees that you can stay in that are hotel rooms, it's literally on Route 66, and it's literally fucking picture a teepee that's a hotel room. I don't even know how to explain it to you. Here, I'll just pull up a fucking picture and you can see it. I should have done this ahead of time. Yeah, but the Wigwam Motel it's fucking here. This is a perfect picture. Let me download this real quick. Oh, I can't download that version because that's the Google Maps version, but I can download this version. Theoretically, maybe not. Holy fuck, why can I not? Okay, I don't know how to do it. Just Google Wigwam Motel. There'll be a link in the description. But Chris, actually, while I'm talking about this, Google Wigwam Motel, and let me know your thoughts on that.
What's it called?
Wigwam Motel, WIGWAM Motel. It's just a very cheesy place on Route 66 that is very cool, and I liked it quite a bit. They were lighting off a lot of fireworks, which was a little concerning, especially considering there were riots happening in Santee, which is why we went to fucking
this
San
place
Bernardino.
looks rad.
Yeah, it's literally a bunch of little fucking teepees that are hotel rooms. With a bathroom and a shower, and they're a little room. It's dope. It was fucking pretty fucking cheap to stay there with dogs and everything. So that was a lot of fun. So we went there, and then we also went to the Black Forest Lodge, which you can Google as well, up in Big Bear, which is, I can't even begin to describe how weird this place is. It definitely was made in the 60s or 70s, and it's a ski lodge, a German ski lodge feel in the middle of Big Bear, but it has the strongest David Lynch vibes I've maybe ever seen in a hotel. You walk into the lobby and it really, really feels like Twin Peaks, very, very, very much so. To the point where there's floral patterns on all the walls and everything is clearly from the 70s, and I was actually wearing a Twin Peaks shirt, which made it even more surreal. But yeah, that place is very weird, but dirt cheap to stay there, and they have fireplaces in the rooms and shit like that. It's very old school, but very cool. And then we also went to Big Bear Mountain Brewery. Shout out to them. It's actually the last brewery we took Seamus to. He got to hang out on the patio. It's actually the first restaurant or place I've gone to and hung out at, because they had an outdoor area at the brewery. And also it's Big Bear, which is pretty dead right now. So we did that. That was fun. They also have fucking incredible beers, which I was surprised about. I thought nice. How bad is a brewery on the top of a mountain going to be? Probably pretty bad. Or pretty mediocre at best, but it was good. I was really surprised. I liked fucking all their stuff. And then lastly, I went to Home of the Hangover. Have you ever been to Home of the Hangover, Chris? Well, let me start with this. Have you been to Big Bear?
Yes.
Have you seen the liquor store called Home of the Hangover?
I have not.
Oh boy, it's a place. It's fucking actually a great liquor store. They have a bunch of dope ass craft beer. Like they have fucking Black Butte anniversaries from like years and years ago. They have They have a bunch of breweries that I think aren't even around. Or a bunch of beers from breweries that aren't even around anymore. Huge sour selection. Like they have a ton of like stuff like Firestone, their Creek that they put out. I forget what it's called. Creaky Bones, their Creek, which is fucking fantastic. I love Creeks. Kriek. But yeah, it's just really good, and that liquor store is dope as hell. Everything's like a little expensive, but you're also on a mountain, so like that's expected when you. I bought like a couple beers from the brewery. I bought the oatmeal raisin Maduro from what is the Cigar City in Florida. They had some incredible beers there, so I wanted to give them a shout out because it was awesome. I also got this fucking stupid ass bear shot glass, which is just a bear eating a shot glass. So I'm gonna take another shot of rum. We're gonna dedicate this next silence to Seamus, and then we will be back to kind of talk about UFC 250 and what's next for 135.
It'll be brief if I'm honest, because the card was good. I'll say that the main card was solid, but I mostly want to talk about
what the fuck is happening in 135.
Yeah, basically.
Cool. So we'll be back with that, and in the meantime, to Seamus. And Chris didn't remember that to say we're back.
Oh, I thought you said you were.
No, I said you were. Hey, everybody, we're back.
Yeah, we are.
Hey, there we go. Sorry, I didn't mean to yell. I got a little
Notice
excited.
every time we kind of flip-flop, like I'm supposed to say, and we're back, and then it's
I know. It's a mess. We also
it's a change-up. We just switch it up.
Well, we also haven't been doing it in a while. We are going to start this, though, with a shot, I believe, right?
Yes.
I got a sweet Big Bear shot glass, another one that I picked up, because I'm a fucking degenerate.
So I didn't quite fill this up to the brim, but I didn't want to spill it on my way to my room from the kitchen.
Fair.
So,
cheers.
I had...
What do you got?
I had El Silencio Mezcal the first time. This time, this is Basil Hayden's Kentucky Bourbon.
That is quite a nice bourbon. I am drinking a bunk-ass bourbon, but the best bunk-ass bourbon, which is the Heaven Hill, just like the Heaven Hill bourbon, which is like $11 a bottle, and it's fucking delicious.
That's some good budget bourbon, though.
Dude, it's incredible. It's for $11 a bottle. I prefer it over Jack. Although I don't really like Jack, but that's not true. I like Jack fine. It's
this is actually the bottle of Basil my brother got. I think it's like the regular 750 milliliter, I think, and it was like $50. So
Basil goes between like 35 and 50, depending on if you can catch it on sale.
So, and by the way, if you want to get high quality bourbon or rye, I had gotten Whistle Pig about like a month ago, but I got ripped the fuck off because I got like a tiny, maybe 300 something milliliter bottle, and it was like $50.
Oh, that's too much. You can get a full bottle for like 80.
See, but then I realized I can go to Jimbo's
and
get 750 higher for about $80.
Yeah. You can also find it out here in Santee at Preferred Liquors. Shouts out to those guys. They treat me very well. Not a sponsor, but I mean they might as well be. They hook me up way more than they should. So. Anyway, cheers to this booze, Chris.
Can't remember last time.
Actually, no. You know what? Cheers to Seamus.
Cheers to Seamus.
Miss that dude. All right, man, that's good fucking bourbon. If you guys go to Astor Wines, again, not a commercial, just where I bought it. Astor Wines has it for about, I think, like $11 or $12 a bottle. It's fucking delicious. I also recommend the Mellow Corn, which is another cheaper. That one's not quite a bourbon. I think it's technically a straight corn whiskey, but it's really good. That's also where I got Smith & Cross, the best rum I've ever bought. Well, I should say the best rum that's like approachable that I've ever bought. Like it's just butterscotch fucking sweetness and a little bit of banana funk. Oh, it's incredible. Anyway, not a booze podcast despite my best efforts, although who knows, we might be eventually if the fucking sport keeps trying to drive me away from it. So Chris, we're here to talk a little bit about UFC 250, I've heard.
Yeah. So let's get out of the way the fact that Amanda Nunes is one of the GOATs across the board. I'm not going to just say women's. I mean, she's just one of the GOATs.
One of the most dominant fighters and one of the most dominant title reigns we've ever
I had
seen.
a feeling a certain superstar decided to spontaneously retire more times than he's defended a belt, have you? Because he might have been a little jealous.
He's arguably retired 3 more times than he's defended a belt.
Yes. So let's get that out of the way. Yeah, shout out to Amanda Nunes. She's absolutely great for combat sports, not just the UFC, just everything in general.
And she's just dope as hell. Like, she's hilarious. She makes her and Nina Ansaroff are fucking killer funny on Twitter. Like, and she's openly gay and like very supportive of a bunch of different like proactive movements. Fucking awesome. We don't deserve Amanda Nunes.
Yeah, we don't. She's one of the best things to happen to just all of sports. It's fantastic.
She's one of the like most interesting people we have ever seen in this sport, without a doubt. It's not even close. So big shouts to her.
Shouts out to her. Hats off to her for sure. Whatever you want to do.
And then next, I guess we should have to get into this bantamweight clusterfuck, right?
Let's spend the next 20 or so minutes or whatever you want to keep.
Probably not that long, but yeah.
Yeah, not that. I mean, I'm just
because we'll touch briefly on a couple of these other fights. Since it was some interesting shit.
So I'm looking at
also, I do want to say 100% that fight should have never seen a 5th round.
Yeah, no.
the Amanda fight. Like, Felicia's corner saying, go out there and fly at her with Superman elbows when she's gotten shit kicked for 4 rounds is, I would argue, some of the least acceptable corner work we've seen in a very long time. I mean, shit, Eddie Bravo had better advice than they did. And Eddie Bravo came out saying his advice was horrible. So,
dude, these rankings are
they're not even relevant, right? Because I'm sure Aljamain Sterling didn't move at all, right?
Yeah, Aljo's at number 2.
Oh, so he did move, I guess, probably.
Yeah. Marlon is at number 1.
Why?
Which, well,
he beat Jose. I guess that makes sense.
And Jose is he's at number 6. Yeah, that's the thing. Here's the rankings. Number 1, Marlon Moraes. Number 2, Aljamain Sterling. 3, Piotr Jan. 4, Corey Sanhagen. 5 is now Cody Garbrandt. What a fucking great finish. We'll talk about that. 6 is Jose Aldo. 7 is Pedro Munoz. 8 is Rafael Assunção. 9, Jim Rivera. Then you got Cody Stamen at 10. Rob Font at 11. Dominic Cruz at 12. John Dodson. What? At 13.
What?
That is very head-scratching.
How is John Dodson top? When was the last time John Dodson won a fight?
Fuck off, John Dodson. Get out of the rankings. 14 is Song Yadong, and 15 is The Sugar Show, Sean O'Malley.
To be fair, I guess John Dodson did get that win over Nathaniel Wood, but also...
he's a prospect.
You know what? He does have his last win before that was also Pedro Munoz, so...
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So the first, the main bantamweight fight that kind of kicked it off was Sean O'Malley versus Eddie Wineland, I believe, right?
Yeah, that was the first fight on the pay-per-view that I definitely did not pay for.
Oh, I didn't. I'll admit that I did not pay for that.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fucking pandemic, and they're asking people for $65. Also, I was out of town, and I was not going to spend my fucking nice weekend with my goddamn dog and my dogs and my girlfriend watching this trash event.
So, what do you think of 6'9" Sean? I'm just kidding. And his.
God, yeah. Sean, I'm slowly showing everyone why Americans are the worst O'Malley. Fucking, you tell him, he's like, oh, calm down, Peter, you can't spell your name right. It's like, first off, bro, your name's Sean. There's like 14 ways to spell that. Calm the fuck down.
I'll say this. Sean O'Malley, I listen to his podcast, and
didn't he call someone a fag recently or something?
No, he didn't say fag, which I'm glad he didn't say that.
You're right.
Go fuck yourself.
I'll clarify that I was intentionally joking when I said that.
He was just slightly homophobic, and I'm like, oh, that's gay. Like, I know that he's kidding, but... And I'm not.
And to be fair, like
I don't know. I don't know his politics.
I
don't. It's not even politics. I don't know his social beliefs and his stances.
Well, I would think that Sean O'Malley's. I mean, he's young enough that, like, dude,
I don't think he's a homophobe at all.
I don't think so either.
No,
but also, not the best luck. Although, then again, I've said way more horrible things on this here episode. So what do I know?
Oh.
Yeah. But dude, that feint up.
Yeah.
To the point, though, that feint uppercut, he feinted the uppercut, feinted the jab, and then slammed home the right. It wasn't. It was a real light feint, but dude, yeah, it was clean as fuck. And Eddie completely bit, and then just ate it clean right to the jaw and went out.
That just shows that giant frame is 5'11" at bantamweight.
Also, the one thing I will say, though, is everybody's like, oh, walk away, KO, oh. Where you're like, also, though, have you guys watched any Sean O'Malley fights? He's tried to do walk away KOs a bunch of times, and it's backfired on him a bunch of times.
It's like, bro,
he tried to do it to, like, 4 dudes. Like, that was his entire...
9, and you hit a walk-off home run, and you know it's over.
Well, I think he did it multiple times in his Contender Series fight, where he tried to walk away, and the fight wasn't over. If I remember right. I could be wrong.
You guys go like this, look, and then they go, oh, fuck.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there's a ton of time. I mean, look at fucking Spike Carlisle at the end of round 1 last week.
Yeah.
Walks away and gets dropped. Dude, that's... Oh, God. I love that Heavy Hands referred to him as fucking... I forget it was. No, it was like... Oh, here, I'll pull up the exact quote since I got it right here. Because it fucking cracks me up. Where is it? It's right here. He is the hyper-confident male Betch Correa, which is fucking beautiful. Because he absolutely is that weird.
Let's kind of get to this since we're going to do this quick.
Yeah,
Who, in your opinion, who should Sean O'Malley fight next?
I mean, he needs somebody. Let me pull up Tapology's welterweight. Tapology bantamweight.
I'm going to say right now Cody Stamann, who's number 10. Or Jimmy Rivera, like a big wrestler.
I think Rivera would be a good answer. Ricky Simone's not a bad pick.
Ooh, I like that pick.
I think that's like exactly the tough style matchup that we'll really learn something about O'Malley from. Because Ricky Simone will absolutely put his head in O'Malley's chest and make it ugly. So I think that could be interesting. I don't hate. Yeah, I would say like somebody like either. Well, he's coming off a win, and they like to do a guy coming off a win versus a guy coming off a win. So, I mean, what I would like to see is Ricky Simone. What I'm worried we might see is somebody like. Did John Dodson go to Bellator yet? That was rumored, right? No, that was actually rumored. I thought.
I mean, I would hope so. I don't like John Dodson at all. I don't know why I don't like that guy. I know that's mean, and I don't know him.
I actually really like John Dodson.
I don't know. I just don't like John Dodson. I mean, fuck it. I don't know why. Doesn't matter.
Maybe I made
maybe
up
he's
that
a nice guy. He's probably a great guy. So you know what? I recant that statement. He's probably an awesome guy. And maybe this is the shot of bourbon I just did that's talking, but you know
that's very fair.
Yeah, to be fair,
you know what? I might have totally.
John Dodson. I just don't like him being in the rankings right now because he's 22-11.
Yeah, I mean that win over Nathaniel Wood is a pretty big one though because Nathaniel Wood
is fuck. And Nathaniel Wood was a highly touted prospect.
Dude, I'm very high on Nathaniel Wood. Or you know what they could do? That would be fucking very cruel, but would be very interesting. What if they did? What if they did Uriah Faber versus Sean O'Malley?
No. Speaking of people that need to fuck off, you're right there, bro.
I mean, I agree. It should be Ricky Simone. I think is what we've decided.
And not even that. No. Sean O'Malley's already ranked now. Give him number 10. No, seriously, give him Cody Stamann.
Well, Ricky Simone is 14 according to Tapology. Ricky Simone's 14 according to Tapology, which
yeah, because I'm looking at the UFC ones and they don't really mean shit.
Yeah, so. I don't care about UFC rankings. And also, like, Ricky Simone's coming off that win over, who was it? Ray Borg.
Yeah, Ricky Simone. That'd be a good one.
I think that's the matchup to make.
If not that, if you want to just kind of reach, give him Cody Stamann.
Sure. Yeah. That's another and that's another dude who will make it an ugly fight, and really we'll learn a lot about where Sean O'Malley's at in this entire game.
Just don't get me wrong. I think Sean O'Malley has a shitload of potential
for sure, and I just want to see him tested on the ground.
Yeah, that's all.
Because like he hasn't fought wrestlers.
So let's see, another bantamweight fight. What was after that? Was it Aljo Sandhagen?
Dude, the next fight was Aljo absolutely smoking Corey Sandhagen in one of the most impressive fucking dominant displays we've ever seen.
That was nuts. I was like, wow, that just happened.
Dude, it's incredible the way he ran through him. I definitely thought Aljo was going to make this ugly, and I definitely was leaning his direction. Just because he's good enough at kicking from outside and setting things up, especially recently. And Corey Sandhagen has that Dom Cruz movement where I feel like calf kicks would have played a factor over time if it would have stayed on the feet. However, Aljo was just able to bull rush him, put him on the cage, dump him, and get his back.
You know what's crazy? The fact that Aljo was so dominant and he's clear-cut getting the next title shot.
Dude, he should.
No, he will. I think they said, well, don't believe in his lies.
Yeah,
but
no.
He will at this point. He'll probably whatever.
It should be him in the winner of Peter Yan and
my point is
Jose Aldo.
Peter Yan versus Jose Aldo is now an interesting fight for me. Mostly because which Jose Aldo are we gonna get?
Well, that's the thing though. Is like I don't know that I trust Jose Aldo for 5 rounds down a weight class against a dude like Peter Yan who's going to push a pace. Because Peter Yan's going to push the crazy pace.
Great boxing.
His boxing is incredible. His checking, especially with leg kicks, is really good. Not that Aldo ever throws leg kicks anymore. And his takedown defense is fucking lights out.
So I'll say this. Remember how I mentioned boxing is back and Shakur Stevenson, the young stud at 130, the featherweight champion of boxing, is the future of boxing as far as the lower weight classes. And I as a boxing fan still, as a rejuvenated boxing fan, because I kind of lost a lot of faith after the Canelo Triple G1 with Adelaide Bird, right?
Oh, Jesus, that bitch.
That was
looking,
still the worst
only
decision I've ever
looking,
seen in my life.
dude. You can go back and see her only watching Canelo that entire fight. It's so embarrassing.
The series in that fight is 1-1. Triple G won the first fight. Canelo won the second fight.
Also,
There needs to be a third fight at some point. Don't think it'll happen. Don't really care though. Anyways, my point is Shakur Stevenson. This kid, besides his fantastic just ability to dodge punches and his elusiveness and evasive or whatever you want to call it, his movement, his fluidness, he would do as a traditional boxer when you have that reach advantage. He would use his lead hand because he's orthodox. He would kind of hold his glove to the head, measure up his power hand, and kind of get ready to strike as those accurate punchers go. And I attribute that to Shakur Stevenson, and the reason why I mention his name is because Petr Yan does that. I recently rewatched his fight against Uriah Faber.
It's not just measuring with the lead hand, but they use it a lot to like kind of. They use it a little bit like a jab to just kind of get it in your face so you don't see what's behind it. So like a lot of it is they use it. I feel like Petr Yan especially uses it kind of in three ways. He uses it kind of just as a measuring tool. He uses it to parry your lead hand, and then he also uses it to blind you with stuff coming behind it. And it fucking works. I think the one thing that could be interesting in that fight against Aljo or Jose Aldo, both of them, is the body kicks. I think that is because traditionally guys like Petr Yan, they have a little bit higher guard and a little bit tighter guard, so you can sneak in body kicks a little bit easier. And since he's not an active wrestler, body kicks are at that range where they have to step through on a body kick. You have to really step through, and if you don't land before they do, it'll absolutely crush your side. So that's the one thing I think could be interesting because, like, I think that is the. I mean, out of those matchups, I just have a hard time seeing either of those dudes. Maybe Aljo rather. But I have a hard time seeing either of those dudes getting Petr Yan down just based off his record, especially back in the fucking. It was over in ACB, right, where his crazy run was. Yeah,
and
because that dude had lights out takedown defense for a very long time.
Yeah.
Let me double check. It's ACB. Yeah, it is ACB. Yeah, he's fucking Petr Yan is very, very, very strong contender for that division. So I'm excited to see every one of those, or both of those matchups. The Petr Yan versus Aldo and Petr Yan versus Aljo.
And this is what's crazy, dude. Like, I'll be honest. Right now, I expect Petr Yan to defeat Jose Aldo. A lot of it to do with the weight discrepancy and that weight cut. Yeah. If Aldo wins,
then it gets real fucking crazy, right?
Bro, but he's put up in GOAT status as far as GOAT. Like,
absolutely, especially if he gets a second win in that division.
Pound status.
No,
like people go up in weight, like GSP, which is still commendable because Bisping's way bigger than GSP and he choked him the fuck out. Yeah. But bro, to go down in weight, what Dillashaw wanted to do, I know he's a cheater. That's fine. I mean,
and also Henry Cejudo said on Rogan's podcast this week, which I refused to acknowledge on the first segment because fucking Henry Cejudo and Joe Rogan are two people who you should not listen to about most things. But Henry said he was the reason why that fight happened at 125.
Yeah, no, I saw that clip. Yeah,
which is upsetting.
He fucked up.
I mean, to be fair, good for him because fucking sad? TJ used drugs, so whatever Henry
even if Henry wasn't retiring, I still think he beats most of the bantamweights.
Oh, yeah. I think dudes with cardio would be a bigger problem.
I think Yan stylistically gives him problems.
I think Yan is a tough fight for him, and I think Aljo is a tough fight.
I was going to say Aljo. Yan and Aljo are the two biggest mismatches. Toughest matchups for Cejudo.
Cody Garbrandt might be kind of tough too. It depends on how. It depends.
And I was gonna say Garbrandt could be tough because his defensive wrestling is great.
Well, and in his new form too.
And depending on his takedown defense, and because he still has a big future, Sean O'Malley potentially based on his size and his striking and his reach advantage.
Sean O'Malley would get wrestle fucked by Henry Cejudo.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying potentially because I don't know.
Down the road, yeah.
Yeah. Like, if Sean O'Malley has, like, a fucking amazing takedown defense, game plan.
It's takedown defense is good, but like you're not gonna stop takedowns from Henry Cejudo. Or at least not at this point in his career, I wouldn't say.
In any event, so we kind of previewed that championship fight. I'm leaning Jan. I think you're leaning Jan against Aldo.
I am. I think I don't know what to make. I just don't like Aldo. I would rather I saw someone post a picture on Twitter. I forget who it is. They posted a picture of if Aldo moved to 55 a year ago or 2 years ago or whatever it was, and it's just like a fucking futuristic landscape from like some sci-fi thing where everything's perfect. You're like, yeah, that checks out.
So okay. I think the last thing we should discuss is Cody Garbrandt.
Yeah.
So
first off, the most Homer Simpson right hand. What the? It's literally, it was not that far off from the Sharkeisha hook from Todd Duffy or the breaching whale hook from fucking Cain Velasquez. I think he was actually touching the fence behind him before he threw that punch, if I remember right.
I'm not going to take away the victory. The victory is fucking awesome.
Incredible knockout. Absolutely incredible. At the buzzer.
Crazy
second
placement.
round? Second round, yeah.
Second round.
459.
I'll say this. And I've always and I feel like I've said this a lot. I can't say I've always said this because that's not true. Cody Garbrandt, what he did in his performance against Dominic Cruz, is still one of the most masterclass performances I've ever seen at the UFC in any level in any weight class. And I truly still believe that Cody Garbrandt, that version of him, could beat anyone. I think he could beat Cejudo. I'm not
style matchup wise,
So, and if he could pull that off, which he already did to win the belt, I think he could win the belt back. And I'm a big fan of Cody Garbrandt. Say what you will about his
liberal use the N-word on Twitter,
frat bro kind of mentality, whatever the fuck. I think the guy has a good heart. I know I don't know him. I like him in interviews.
Chris just wants to hang with the boys, guys. Don't let him lie to you.
Boys. My point is he's one of those fighters you watch and you know the dude just loves fighting, and it's fun to watch him, just stand and bang. He's one of those guys.
Well, he's a bit of a fighter's fighter, right?
Yeah. And I like watching Cody Garbrandt fight. It's cool to see him back in that top 5 upper echelon. And would it surprise me to see the belt around his waist again? No, based on what I've seen from him. But it's really going to come down to how he spends his camps. Clearly,
Mark Henry's got to be a good influence, clearly.
Being a Mark Henry clearly got him to be, he was stepping back, not moving in. He was actually like, oh, fuck. Inside leg kicks on a sunsail, take out his lead, And
he did do some of the weird, level change leg kicks, which are kind of trash, but,
he took down to sunsail once, right? In the end of the first round, he just clean fucking I think it was a single leg. No, he rocked him and then fucking took him down, I think double leg style to end the round in the first round, if I remember, and then kind of ground and pounded a sunsail.
Overall, he had a great performance, and, I think... I want to say it was either Heavy Hands or Vivisection. I want to say, I want to say that's who it was. Where they talked about how it seems like Mark Henry, since it's such a system based approach to striking, where everything has a lead in and options to come out of the strike. So every single strike has a setup and a follow and a couple different branches you can take as an option afterwards. And that could be really helpful for a guy like Cody who kind of just gets stuck in patterns, which we've seen. If you clip him, he's going to throw 4 right hands in a row. Yeah. And he got clipped pretty good a couple times in this fight, and it seems like a lot of his striking is starting to be a lot more system-based rather than reaction-based. And that could be really good for him going forward, or it could be a detriment in the long run. It's hard to really know.
So, I think the fight to make if he wants a title shot sooner than later
Pedro Munoz? No.
He needs to fight Marlon Moraes.
Yeah. That's such a step up, though.
And I'm going to say this. Marlon Moraes is a stylistic nightmare for anyone in that weight class. Just based on his kickboxing and his leg kick speeds, everything, right? However, the good thing for Garbrandt is Marlon Moraes used to be a student of Mark Henry. Mark Henry kind of has some blueprints for Marlon Moraes preparation.
I don't know. They're both Ali clients
a little bit,
too, though.
Because I know Moraes is at ATT now, if I'm correct.
He is, but they're both Ali clients too, and with Mark Henry, I think it might
Okay, then dude, just do fucking Cody
that.
versus Corey Sandhagen, who's like a rank above him.
Well, yeah, he's coming off a loss, but I don't hate that though. I don't hate that.
Some people were saying they should do Cody versus Cruz too, but that doesn't do anything for Cody in the rankings.
Yeah, it moved no one anywhere.
Yeah,
even if Cruz wins that, no one.
Even
really
some people were saying fucking O'Malley, Cody. I'm like, you're insane.
Yeah, no.
No, I think Cody knocks O'Malley the fuck out.
Well, and it's just like O'Malley hasn't earned that shot yet.
Yeah, no.
Especially Cody. If Cody was still coming off a loss, maybe. But after a KO win over Rafael Sunset, I'm like, yeah, no, you can't really do that.
Yeah, that's all I got for the men's bantamweight division. We could talk other divisions at some other point.
Neil Magny had a fucking awesome win over Rocco Martin. Right.
Thank you.
Which I wanted to give a shout out to.
I did catch that fight.
Impressive as shit.
Yeah, that was a complete technical, just...
Took a fucking beating in the first round and then completely turned it around.
But that rebound was as impressive as I've seen someone, rebound for the last 2 rounds. Good on Neil Magny. It's good to see him back in that win column. I know I might be wrong. I don't know if he won his last fight.
I think he did.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, because that was Song Yadong.
Whoa, he didn't.
No, Jangalang.
I was gonna say, bro, that's like 50-pound weight difference.
I know. It's the fucking. I'm a big old racist who thinks all the Chinese dudes are the same person.
All good.
Fucking yeah, no, Jangalang. Did they find out was Jangalang on that same card as Song Yadong? Is that why I did that?
That was the thing, though. Actually,
if they weren't on the same card, they were like within a card of each other.
That was a real thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Oh, that was the Wei Li Zhang Joanna card. They had like Jangalang and they had Song Yadong. They had like all the mainstream Chinese fighters.
Oh yeah, you're right. So not the same card that I was talking about, but
yeah.
No, wait, no, he wasn't on that.
See, now I'm being the racist.
Right? I know, we're the worst. Yeah, no, I don't know. I'm fucking. We're both white dudes. We're doing our best not to be racist. It's hard. It's not that hard.
And we're both easy to make fun of. You're Polish. I'm Italian.
Well, that's a good point. You know how many Polacks it takes to screw in a light bulb? I wouldn't know. I don't change light bulbs.
Hey, what blood type are Italians? Marinara.
Hey, oh. Fuck. Oh, God. Let's see. Alex Caceres fought Chase Hooper in maybe the worst matchmaking of all time on the UFC.
I didn't see
the fuck would you do that?
When I saw the reactions, I was like, ugh.
Why would you do that to that dude? Like, I get that. I get Chase Hooper's great on the ground.
I saw but tweet saying,
he's not Chrome Gracie. What are we doing?
I saw a tweet saying the son is worse than the father, and they tagged Ben Askren in striking.
I believe Chase Hooper also said, well, sorry, Dad. Good news is I got Mom's chin.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. Big fan of Chase Hooper. That dude is, man, he is a lot of fun. He's a good kid. I like everything Chase Hooper's doing. Although I do stand by Ben Folk's argument that fuck M&Ms, they're trash candy, and they are by far the worst candy outside of like egregious wax-based shit like candy corn.
The only M&Ms I can fuck with are
peanut. Yeah, dog, because it's the only good M&M.
Only good M&M.
If it ain't a peanut M&M, it ain't shit.
Thank you.
100%.
You're a man of culture as well.
White man of culture.
The thing I was going to say is I think it was on part of my take they had Dana White on there, which was a shit show because all he would do was like, fuck whippy journalists, bro.
Bro, have you seen my giant guns?
I think it was PFT commentator or Big Cat. He was like, for all the guys that illegally stream, like, not, people who watch the stream, because that's not as illegal, the ones that actually try the stream.
What does that mean? Oh, see, I see what you're saying.
My point is, they said that people who get caught, because Dana was all boasting, oh, yeah, we catch those fuckers all the time. I'm like, oh, how come you should put them on a pay-per-view and have them fight John Jones for a round? And it's like, what? I get it, but it's just like...
Yeah, bro. No. Everybody loves capital punishment.
Anyways, what they mentioned is about Chase Hooper is they said Chase Hooper sounds like the backup quarterback for Alabama. I'm like, God damn it, that sounds so accurate.
Yeah, it sounds about white.
Yeah, sounds about white.
Well, speaking of which, Ann Heinisch got the win over Gerald Mearshart in quick fashion.
That was impressive.
For sure. Speaking of impressive as well, Cody Stamon, I guess is what we're calling him now. I don't know when that changed.
Rest in peace to his younger brother. That shit was tragic.
Yeah, fucking very tough. I feel for him. But yeah, he fought Brian Kelleher in a scrappy ass fight, but man, the size difference was just so evident.
Yeah.
I feel like if that fight happened at 35, Kelleher would have taken that.
I can see that.
But also good on them for not cutting weight during a motherfucking pandemic. Let's see. Coconut Bombs got the win over Charles Bird via ground and pound, which, man, pretty impressive. Maki Patola is fucking coming along, man. That guy's going to be a problem for people. Alex Perez absolutely smashed the shit out of Juicy Formiga's legs in the second leg kick TKO in 2 weeks. Super dominant and impressive performance. Man, yeah, just... I mean, it wasn't as nasty as the one the week before, but that's just because he didn't destroy both legs. But, like, good God. And let's see, Devin Clark versus Alonzo Minifield. Devin Clark got that win in a scrappy-ass fight where he won the last 2 rounds. Man, big win over a guy like... I wonder how Alonzo Minifield would have done if this didn't happen during a pandemic. Because I know Fortis, I'm not sure if they're reopened yet, but I know Fortis was closed for a while. Because they shut that gym down for a while to let Uriah Hall train there exclusively. Yep. And I know they've been doing that off and on for their fighters, which, I mean, it's got to be tough. And then Herbert Burns got the win over Evan Dunham in the least shocking win of the night.
Yep.
But an absolute nasty rear naked choke. So, yeah, fun card overall, man. I liked it quite a bit.
It was good, and the Fight Island card coming up with July
excuse me,
11th.
Sir. What card? You mean the Abu Dhabi card?
Oh, excuse me, the Ferrari World card.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ferrari World.
No, that still makes it sound way too legit.
Okay. The
Richard Lowell says, "Please finish up because you can't miss."
Card.
Hold on. Richard Lowell. Yeah, exactly. Richard Lowell in chat is saying, "Guys, please finish up. You can't miss the Jessica I fight." First off,
all right, guys.
I love your.
Thanks for tuning.
Here we go, Rich. Here we go.
Woo, woo.
Okay. Well, I evidently got more support just doing this podcast than Jessica I did in a room full of people. But boy, I wonder where they're at in the card right now. I can probably figure that out.
I don't know.
Right?
We can stop here because I'm not.
So wait, first off, I do want your pick, Chris. Jessica I or whoever the fuck she's fighting. Who's she fighting? Calvillo, right? Moving up a weight class. Yeah.
Calvillo via submission round 2.
Really?
Yeah.
Is there reason?
Wait. Oh, okay. I had some good jiu-jitsu though too.
Well, and I's got a huge size advantage.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And reach advantage, I would assume.
You know what? I actually got I via decision. Fuck it.
Interesting.
But I'm not gonna watch it, so.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Oh Jesus! Looks like somebody.
Once you said huge size advantage, I'm like, wow, yeah, that's a massive factor. At least at the women's 115 to 125 lead, that's yeah.
Jesus. Yeah.
Mr. Jessica Andrade.
Holy shit! It looks like there's actually been a lot of finishes on this card so far, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, there's 3 straight knockouts to start the card.
3 knockouts and a sub, I believe, within the first 5, which is pretty dope. Yeah, man, I'm interested to see it.
Yeah,
I'm leaning Jessica.
He's saying it's like, oh, on paper it's the worst card ever, which means it's going to be dope.
I mean, to be fair, a lot of these cards without names are well matched. The matchmaking is good because either they're super lopsided and they're trying to make a name for somebody, or they're very competitive and they're just scrappy as shit. Like Jordan Espinosa, Mark De La Rosa, I would assume will be scrappy as fuck. Every Marvin Vittori fight feels like it's going to be scrappy as fuck.
Did that already happen?
Feely versus Jourdain is going to be fun as hell. I guarantee you that fight will be scrappy. No, those ones are still coming up. I think Espinosa De La Rosa is either happening right now or about to happen. But yeah, I'm taking Jessica Eye off size, and I just don't think Calvillo is going to be able to wrestle Jessica Eye over time. And I think if she can't do that, she's just going to get boxed up on the outside.
So real quick, sorry to interrupt. Did things just got better for the UFC's bantamweight division?
Uh-oh.
Merab Dvalishvili, I said it wrong every time.
Nope, you got it right. Merab Dvalishvili.
Just got a very dominant victory right now, and he called out Sean O'Malley.
Perfect. That's a great fight.
Let's do it. And Merab trains with Ali Quinta and Aljo, so...
Yeah. If they're not going to do Ricky Simone, then yeah, absolutely. Ricky or any one of those three dudes could fight, and it would be fun. Actually, wait, didn't they fight? Ricky and Merab did fight. That was the classic did Merab go out from the guillotine fight.
Yeah, it was.
That's funny. I forgot about that. Or it was a guillotine, right?
Someone said bootleg Habib versus Connor.
That's a weird reference, but okay. I mean, I kind of get it, but like that's a very
not
that's
accurate.
A stretch.
But I get what you're trying to say, bud.
Yeah. I mean, technically, it's a long, lanky dude with power versus a wrestler. So yeah, you're right in that aspect, I guess. Man, yeah. Though you know what, this main card looks like it's gonna be pretty fun. So I'm excited to check that out. And yeah, are there fights next week? Do we know? I think so, right? Here,
so next week would be the 21st?
Next week would be the 21st, I believe. Or 20th? 20th. Yep, Blades vs. Volkov in Vegas, I'm assuming still.
I got Blades by... WrestleFuck Murder.
Oh man, you know what? There's some awesome. Holy shit! This main card is actually kind of fun, except for one sad fight. But you got Curtis Blades versus Alexander Volkov. That's fun. Josh Emmett versus Shane Burgos. That's dope. Raquel Pennington versus Marion Renault. That'll be a lot of fun. Lyman Good versus Bilal Muhammad. I'm fucking there for that. Shit, actually, Jim Miller, Roosevelt Roberts, Clay Guida, Bobby Green, Tisha Torres, Brianna Van Buren. Man, this is actually an awesome card. Courtney Casey, Jillian Robertson, Frank Camacho, Matt Frivola, Roxy versus Lauren Murphy. Those are like a bunch of dudes maybe without names, but holy shit, is that going to be a scrappy card. I'm actually really excited for that.
Oh, yeah.
Cool, man. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap this here, and Chris and I guess we'll actually go watch some of these fucking fights that are happening, but yeah, it's been a rough couple of weeks. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be doing the show again. I missed it. And
I did as well.
Yeah. So, Chris, anything else you want to shout out before we get out of here?
Stay safe.
Please. Follow guidelines in place.
Follow the COVID guidelines.
Wear a fucking mask for just be a goddamn adult and have some responsibility. Which evidently is a very hard thing if you think you're an alpha, bro.
But I'm a rebel.
How am I going to be alpha with fabric over my face?
I'm not a beta cuck.
Look, if you really need to, wear an eye patch with your fucking mask, and then you can feel like a badass again. Okay, you goddamn babies.
Goddamn right.
Right. Take away your depth perception so you can be alpha, bro. On that note.
Like with an eye patch, I can naturally shoot right eye dominance.
Exactly. Anyway, on that note, we're going to wrap this up. But we love you. We miss you. And, yeah, I don't have anything else to say other than we'll be back next week. And I'm going to pour one last one for the homie Seamus. Man, I miss that dude. And he, like I talked about with Chris during this episode, and like we've discussed, Chris can attest, he's been in the room for almost every podcast we've done. By far. He's almost been on more podcasts than Chris has, to be fair.
Yeah, and he's been on
every single commentary, all that. So, yeah.
Yeah, Seamus, rest in power.
Absolutely. So, I will raise one more glass in this weird fucking grizzly bear. Here, I'll even spin this for you so you can see how it's literally just like a weird fucking grizzly bear eating a shot glass that says "bite me." But R.I.P. to Seamus. We miss you, bud, and we love you. And cheers to the third chair of our show. Everybody have a good week, and we'll be back next week.